Hello friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my report, The Planetary Clash Bringing a Mountain of Cash, plus January 2025 New Year readings for each sign. I'm going to go very deep into this planetary clash that starts out this new month, this new year, and how it can have a relationship to prosperity after you get past the challenges of it, which we'll also talk about. And then I'll give you other factors that are general transits that will affect all signs. I will move through this summary of general transits as expediently as possible, and definitely listen to this first before you drill down into the sign-specific reports, because things that we talk about here are going to lay the foundation for what I'm going to add to in the sign-specific readings. So I invite you to see this initial summary as the first part of a well-designed meal series, where each layer prepares your palate for the depth of flavors yet to be added in delicious layers. In some ways, we're going to have a little bit of a sleepy start to this new year because we are still fully entrenched in Mars retrograde. But because as of January 3rd, Mercury will actually be direct. Well, it was direct as of December 15th, but as of January 3rd, the post-transit shadow period will have passed. So we do start this new year out at the back end of a Mercury retrograde that made scheduling and clarity and future planning very difficult in December. Also gave us a great opportunity to clear the slate to get ready for the new. So you definitely will feel that newness bubbling up through the retrograde fog, thanks to, Mercury really just being clear and back to its normal rambunctious self. Mars will stay retrograde until February 24th. But you will definitely feel this layer of Mercury being released and, uplifted, and just the challenges that it brought in December will really just open up to feel like there's something new, something clear, something easier to plan, easier to schedule, easier to see a little further into the distance. Mercury is still in Sagittarius for a little while longer into the month, so we do still have that ebullience, that those sparks of fire, that energy that is really going towards expansion and positive viewpoints. The big stars of the zodiac are yet to be discussed. I will get to that, but it is important to know that we still do have a little bit left of this Sagittarius energy that was really strong since November, as well as having a sequence of nice aspects with Mercury moving through Chiron, Hygeia, and Aries. Good news, breakthroughs, higher planes of awareness that can bring solutions, optimism, interesting or exciting information regarding teaching and learning and education, immigration or long distance travel, publishing. The early part of the month is just, really just bringing these fire sparks. Now let's get into the big star of the show as far as my theme of the month is the planetary clash that can bring mountains of cash. And we've got a lot of layers of things to discuss here. So in the early part of the month, November 3rd, but with a 7 to 10 day before and after, so that's like the last week of December and the first, couple of weeks of January, we've got this aspect again, and it can be a monster. If you've been listening to my reports or have been listening to general astrology reports, then you know that in the beginning of November, this happened already. And the reason why it's happening more than once is because of Mars retrograde. So at the beginning of November, it came into this, opposition at the very end of Capricorn, very end of Cancer, and wreaked absolute havoc, for many people. With these telltale stories, power struggles, obsessiveness, destructiveness, violence, anger, really, really can be very, very nasty, actually can be dangerous. And so you really have to be on the defensive, or putting extra protection around yourself, and really tuning into your intuition to stay out of trouble at this time. But this aspect came back again now because Mercury went into retrograde. And since Pluto doesn't move very quickly, Mars moved right back over into this second opposition. And then at the end of April, there will be a third opposition. So there's some kind of storyline that may be happening. And you may notice that things that came up in the beginning of November, maybe coming back up again now. And this may be the second chapter in a story that has 3 chapters. Okay. So, it's dangerous. It's a clash. It can be, very, very, very intense. But at the same time, okay, so now that I've forewarned you about the challenges, we're not going to belabor those because hopefully a word to the wise is sufficient. And actually, one more thing, big warning here. The aggression and the anger and the obsessiveness and the destructive tendencies that may bubble up from even the most, surprising places at this time may want to be directed towards something. This fire energy, Mars and Leo, you may want to do something about this. But because of Mars being in retrograde, if you do any act of aggression, verbal, however you do it, physical, an act of some sort, it's very likely to boomerang back to you. So if tensions are high, as they may be, in the world, in your country, in, your community, in your relationships at this time, try to get that aggression. Best advice here is try to get that aggression channeled. Don't repress it. You probably won't be able to. And it actually has come from trying to repress for a long time, but channel it into something productive, something healthy, something that can heal. And if at bare minimum, just write a letter or get a punching bag and get the aggression out. Because if you direct it towards somebody, like you're going to give someone a piece of your mind, or you have to let someone know something and you're in a bad place, that energy can boomerang back to you and it can be quite dangerous. Okay, so that's the most important thing to know about this aspect as far as protecting yourself. But at the same time, we're going to switch now to the lemonade and the positive potentials, because an opposition can crack you out of a way of being. It can crack you out of an experience that has been limiting. It can unlock many things, but it can also unlock a mountain of cash. And I'm going to explain in detail the reasons why this can happen, and also many other positive outcomes. When we have forces like this happening within ourselves, happening outside of ourselves, this can be the thing that we need to crack out of a matrix. Usually it's something that has been building for a long time, and this is like the tipping point. But regardless, we've got an increased charisma, okay, that's happening now. Mars in Leo, Mars rules Aries, it's a fellow fire sign, very comfortable in Leo. The personal magnetism, your charisma can be off the charts, okay? And then Mars in this sign, Mars rules how you use your energy. And during the whole Mars retrograde, you'll have a chance to redo how you use your energy and rethink and experiment with different ways that you can use your energy. But Mars in Leo is going to bring this boldness and this visibility, and this can draw attention to your personal talents, your gifts, and you may even discover hidden talents, entrepreneurial ventures, leadership qualities. All of these things can be brought out. So this transit can amplify your presence in this amazing way that can be attractive to potential investors, for potential employment, for clients or collaborators, right? So this zest, this visibility can open you up to crack out of something within yourself with this, this Pluto opposition can just crack you out of your shell and into the limelight or into the visibility of someone, perhaps a power figure represented by Pluto, that, you can come together with and transcend. The greatest opportunity of an opposition is just transcend. It's a lifting point to get all the balls in the air, get to a perfect balance, come to an accord. Sometimes that comes between the conflict first, and then the breakthrough opens you up into these possibilities. Something else that can happen is, as far as unlocking this mountain of cash, is you can have transformative opportunities in the tech or your social spheres. This is compliments of Aquarius. Aquarius energy rules your social circles, social media, communities, and it also rules technology, futuristic thinking. So Mars, action, and Pluto, powerful figures, and Aquarius, these realms of the social spheres and the technology, can offer this breakthrough having to do with the collective or the technological environment. You can start utilizing technology in a way that really just opens up your world. And that could lead to more money with less work, which, using Mars in retrograde to use your energy in wiser ways. Mars can make people in retrograde can make people much more lazy, much less ambitious, much less inspired, much more inclined to work efficiently so that you have to do less so that you can get back to relaxing or you're having fun. And sometimes that is the type of mindset that will birth a solution that helps things to be easier. Okay, so if you're willing to engage in the groundbreaking projects that may come your way and experiment, remember this is a big time of experimentation. It's not a great time for launches that you've been building up to your whole life because you don't have the oomph of Mars going direct. We are still in this standing on the shore as the, water tides come in with the retrograde energy. But on those tides can be these powerful people or these powerful opportunities. This combination can help you to tap into lucrative markets. Think out of the box and think of solutions that, can really help you to get out of the conventional lines of thinking. And this is something that's different and interesting about this progression of Mars opposing Pluto is that the first cross was with Mars at the epitome of Cancer energy, 29 degrees. That end degree is like the epitome of the energy. And then Pluto was at the epitome, the end point of Capricorn, where it's been teeter-tottering for years. So, and that's tradition. Tradition is the energy that is represented there. And now we break through into new ways of doing things, but still with the stability of the recent Capricorn energy being there, with systems that can hold things in place as you do new things. Another way that this planetary clash that is at the beginning of the month, but really lasts kind of 3 weeks, really, if you look at the 10 days before, the 10 days after, the closer to it, the more intense. This unlocking of the mountain of cash or your earning potential can come from powerful alliances and strategic influence. So Pluto rules power. It also rules powerful people and entities, groups or businesses or companies. And Mars energy represents, how you use yours and how you connect with other people to do that. So these oppositions in general, and this opposition is creating a tension, and the tension is is what's pushing. It's a pushing tension, and it can help to push you forward, even in the retrograde, because you're using contacts from the past, information from the past, ideas from the past in order to tap into something new. So this combination of Leo's creativity and Aquarius's forward thinking networks can really lead to these valuable partnerships, or collaborations. And so leveraging is going to be a really big word right now. Leveraging the connections could lead to the financial growth. And especially if it involves, innovation or the media or unique creative pursuits, things that seem off the wall or eccentric are in the Aquarius domain. The Leo domain is your creative efforts. This is like this beautiful combination of what you have, your individual contribution, joining with a community or with a group or with a powerful, other entity that can help you. And I don't mean, negative spirit entities, although positive spirit connections can happen at this time. This definitely, Pluto rules the underworld. It can rule the spiritual space. So synchronicity can bring you to these magical collaborations. So another way that this opposition can unlock a mountain of cash or your earning potential is through creative problem solving and reinvention. The retrograde brings us with words that begin with RE: redo, reinvent, relax, retreat. And if you're thinking back over something, you may go back to an old problem or an old idea that you had for a solution. And the Mars in Leo energy is going to encourage this confidence and this flair for creativity and creative solutions, which can then translate into new income streams or enhance existing ones. So being able to earn money from your creative talents is very much boosted at this time, and being recognized by someone who's in a position to help you is one of the possibilities of this aspect. Now, sometimes, as I said, you'll have to crack through a challenge in order to get there, or sometimes you just have to summon something within yourself to do something with these potentials. So, this Pluto transformation is something that you're going to have an opportunity to connect with head on. So there's this potential to transform the financial strategies, look into investments and bring out projects that have this, unique spin of your own way of expressing it. Now, you can definitely do soft launches. You can definitely do small launches, promos, anything like that, trying things on, experimenting. And that's really, really good for this energy. And that can be what helps to unlock this mountain of cash. Okay, so I've got a few more things to discuss before we go into the sign-specific energies here. I want to alert you to, if you're on the YouTube screen, if you look in the card in the top corner, you can see how you can join my free VIP community. When you go to that link and put your name and email address in, that connects you to my free VIP community, and you will be able to find my, in the welcome page that you get, you'll be able to find my retrograde resource page. Okay, so I'm going to discuss a little bit more of retrograde energy because it really dominates this time. And then give a brief mention to eclipse energies, because we are going to be starting back eclipse season here soon. So you do get my eclipse resource page access through joining my free VIP community, which you can do at anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link in the top right corner of the video. Podcast listeners, if your venue that you're listening on doesn't show my notes that are underneath the, because I have a lot of notes that go underneath on my Buzzsprout, Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli Buzzsprout podcast site, I write a bunch of notes underneath, and I understand that sometimes those don't sync over to other venues, but you can just go directly to anniehelpsyou.com in order to join the free VIP community, in order to get the welcome letter, in order to get the eclipse and retrograde resource pages. So the last pieces we have to talk about of the retrograde is just to remember, with Mars retrograde until February 25th and a long post-shadow period until May, you may be feeling lazy, you may be feeling uninspired. This is a time to rest. You may see the opposite end of the spectrum where you get hyper-focused or obsessive about certain things. And if it's safe and healthy and you're not completely neglecting everything else in your life, that could be a good way to use the energy. In general, it's a good way to rethink how you use your energy and see how you can use it more wisely. And with it in Leo, it's going back to creative projects or ways of expressing yourself that were fulfilling for you in the past and that can bring fruit now in the present and future. Now, as if all of that weren't enough, January 3rd, right, we end the Mercury retrograde post-shadow period, so we're clear of that. We're still in Mars retro, but then January 28th, Venus will start its pre-retrograde shadow period. So it won't actually go retrograde until March 2nd, and then that will be through April 13th, and then the post-shadow transit goes to May 16th. But we are starting this. I'm not going to go into this a ton. You can search for, on the resource page, when you join the free VIP community, I have so many Venus retrograde resources. You can try to search for them organically. You can go to my YouTube page. I do have videos and shorts on Venus retrograde. I'm not going to talk a ton about it now, just to let you know that it is starting. And Venus rules love and beauty and money and, design. So if you want to do something more major, within the Venus realms, you have energy before the shadow period starts, but you are still within the Mars retrograde. So it will be good to really read up on and listen up on my retrograde resources, because there are so many things to know, and this is one of my areas of expertise. And now for the eclipses, just a brief mention here. We have eclipses in March and April. Usually 6 to 8 weeks before the first eclipse, we start to see news and information and the seeds being planted for what's going to become the big changes at eclipse time. So at the end of January, the second half of it, we actually can start to get some of that news coming in from the last Aries Libra eclipse cycle, coming in from the second showing of the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that started in the fall or spring for you all down under. And so just to kind of alert you that intensity, that bubbling eclipse pot that's been kind of on a simmer, is going to start bubbling back up again. We'll talk about it more in February, but here in January, I just have to let you know that we're kind of coming out of, towards the end, that little lull that we had in the eclipse drama and transformation and major news. But you can click on the link, go to anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link in the top right of the video to join the free VIP community, and that will get to the eclipse resource page. And I have lots of resources on how you can know what's going on for you by sign and in general for the eclipses there. Okay, so to dates to note: January 13th, and we'll talk about this more in the individual reports. January 13th is our full moon at 24 degrees of Cancer. And then we have on the days around the 29th of January, Chinese New Year and the new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius. Okay, so I'll drill down into how that may affect you per sign in the individual sign reports, but I just want to give you a little information, the general energy. So in the middle of the month, the days around the 13th, fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, can come to Cancer. Home, family, housing. This can be for better or worse. I can remember many wonderful family celebrations and experiences that can happen with the fullness of that Cancer moon. Sometimes there's drama, sometimes there's something that's elucidated or comes out, into the open. But all of that is happening then. This is a good time to use that energy to ask for help breaking free from any ancestral, DNA, genetic, familial patterns that are not serving you anymore. In the days around January 29th, we have a chance to plant seeds along the energies of Aquarius. I talked about Aquarius before. Your relationship with technology, your relationship in social circles, your capacity to bring how you shine to a group for a greater purpose. All of those are things you can incorporate into your wishes as these seeds are planted at this time, and that this magical time of the Chinese New Year is really this new clean slate that opens up a whole new realm of experience. In my free VIP community, you also will get my write-up of the sweet and salty dates. I will give you some more dates in the individual reports, but that's another perk that you get when you join that community. Okay, so our zodiac stars of this month, and this is something we're going to drill down into in the individual reports, are Aquarius and then Capricorn. We'll also have Venus moving into Pisces. And then we have Mars, even though it's starting out in Leo with this big boom, it is going back into Cancer, and it will be there all month after, very soon in the month. So we've got a lot of water energy this month, a lot of corresponding nice earth energy that matches it. Those are the energies that are most prominent from the faster moving planets at this time. So we'll dive into the individual reports to see how those transits can affect you, your sign in particular. If you know your moon sign or your rising sign, you may additionally want to watch or listen to the reports, not only for your sun, but also your moon and or rising. If 3 reports is too much to follow, sun and rising are the ones I generally recommend. But those of you who go hardcore into astrology, you can watch for your Venus sign, you can watch for your Mars sign, you can watch for other placements as well. And all of those will be time-stamped. Now on YouTube, they're time-stamped in the notes underneath the video. You have to click on the more button, the little dots, and then the more, and then the timestamp will be revealed under there. On the podcasts, if my notes don't sync over to the podcast that venue you're listening on, you may have to go to Buzzsprout Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli's site to see the timestamps for the podcast version. Okay, so here we go into the individual readings. Okay, Aries friends, let's dive into the Aries chart for this month and apply the foundation that we laid for the general transits to your specific chart. Remember, as an Aries, everything that goes on is intensified because not only do you have the transits of planets through signs, those signs also rule the houses that the transits are occurring in. So for instance, that Pluto Mars opposition that we talked about, that's not only happening with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius and Mars in the sign of Leo, it's also happening in the 5th house of Leo and the 11th house of Aquarius for Aries. So everything is always intensified. This is going to bring this opportunity for you to see where you shine as an individual and bring that out into the community and really just break through any ways that are interfering with you doing that. We still have a lot of long-term energy moving through Aries. People who are close to 50, you're going through your Chiron return. Definitely research that, one of the biggest transits in someone's lifetime. Transiting North Node is still a little bit longer in Aries, making the keys to your personal kingdom or queendom, really accentuated in your individual pursuits and your individual energies. All of this, is really enlivening in a long-term way your first house of independence and autonomy. Then we've got the stars of the zodiac this month. And the first star that we should talk about is a little bit left to Sagittarius. And this is very celebratory for Aries because it's a fellow fire sign. So those Sag trines that I talked about, won't trine that one now, but Chiron, Hygeia, Aries, Mercury, bringing good news, transformation, healing, health and balance, a bubbling up of repressed issues that are interfering, with your joy and happiness, vitality, physical healing, healing of birth traumas, healing of childhood wounds and patterns. That's what Mercury can do. Here at the beginning of the month, we've got kiss, kiss, kiss. 3 beautiful aspects with Mercury bringing awesome conversations and just, all kinds of goodies for your healing process. Now, one of the big stars of the month is Capricorn. We've got Mercury moving into Capricorn. We've got the sun there until, the third week, through the third week of the month. We've got Pallas Athena there. And of course, all of this is lighting up our 10th house of Capricorn. So it's just all doubly true. This is bringing strategy. This is bringing a plan. And since Mercury is direct, it gives us a chance to make a plan. Really difficult to make plans from the middle of November through all of December pretty much until, right there towards the end. So this is just a refreshing time where you can get some clarity, get some direction, start to see where you're going to be going. And even through this shadow of Mars and the impending Venus thing, we still have a few weeks of just, this bubbling up out of this retrograde fog. And getting work done, getting your taxes done. If you are wise, you will do your taxes early because this energy is so good for tedious work. It's really good for administrative things. It's really good for business and work and employment. If you need employment, this can definitely come in at this time. You've got a ton of energy, news, information. This energy does square Aries, so it does create a pressure point, but sometimes a pressure point is what's needed to get stuff done. So for instance, you want to get your taxes done early, so that's the pressure point, and then you get them done early, and then you're free as a bird. Yay! So, that's a really good way to use the energy. It's kind of, it's a focus on discipline. It's a focus on strictness, on sternness, on just getting, practical and realistic, mundane types of things that really just have to be done. Non-negotiable things that you can't get around. It's going to be harder as we, progress through through Aquarius and through Pisces energies to really concentrate on those types of tedious things. So really just try to knuckle down and do it. Then the sun will move into Aquarius. Pluto, of course, is there for 20 years. We're not going to discuss that too much. The moon will be there just for a few days at the beginning of the month. But Ceres is there. Venus is there for a few days at the beginning of the month. And Mercury will get there towards the end of the month. So that's going to make this a very social time. All of those energies that we talked about with the possibilities of collaborations and groups and technology and communities. Not only is there this big opportunity between the opposition of just cracking through something, there's just, it's just social. It's connecting to other people. You may just see your friends. You may have group gatherings, and that can be very enriching and enlivening. And it may start to point your mind towards thinking about how technological things or unconventional things can really have a place in your world and balance out some of the traditional things that the Capricorn energies bring. Then Venus will get into Pisces, and that is a totally different energy. That is the energy of quiet personal pursuits, artistic, endeavors, close relationship, just intimate gatherings, retreat and rest, which really matches, the Mars and then impending Venus retrograde. So you may find that you get a little more introverted as the month goes on, and that you want to just kind of hole up a bit after this social flow. And that would be a good use of the energy. Doing things behind the scenes for your business, just kind of doing some plans without necessarily bringing them out could be really, well done here or well used here. And of course, Saturn is still moving through Pisces. For Aries people, this is a long-term story of you developing your intuition. What you might call your gut is intuition. It's a word that people use to get around the word. Your gut is the same thing as your intuition. It's those other faculties that are coming together that tell you something's not right, even if your senses may be telling you that they are. And then we've got a little longer of Neptune in Pisces, and I'll probably do a different video on that because that's kind of a big one. But with Neptune going through the 12th house for the last 14, 13, 12-ish years, this has been a little bit tough, for Aries. This can be very dissolving to your mind. This can be, can fuel some people into addictions or into escapism or procrastination. So Neptune moving into Aries is going to be a really good thing for us, and that energy is starting. It will happen in March, and it will pop back out, and then it will take into 2026 to get there fully. But this is really starting now, and this is a really big deal. It's going to be much easier for us to deal with that than it was in the 12th house, because it's speaking a language that we can better understand. It's direct, it's conscious, it's specific. Okay, so after the first few days of the month, Mars is going to retrograde back into Cancer. It was there for a lot of the fall or spring for you all down under. And so Mars is going to bring this energy back into home and family, real estate, things that you have been working with, things to consider, more chapters in your story. In some cases, your drama. In some cases, just a beautiful unfoldment of something great. But Cancer is definitely one of the zodiac stars this month. And you will notice that, some things are returning to you regarding family. Things are returning to you regarding home or places that felt like home. You may be going back to a deep dive in psychological factors, since this rules, childhood psychology and the patterns that we take with us into our relationships in adult life. We do have more sweet aspects this month compared to salty, and that is very exciting. So, that is a flavor of the month that does affect things, which I'm very happy to report. But in general, something that we really need to know as Aries is that we have a lot of water happening now in the short and the long term. Venus going through Pisces, Mars going through Cancer. That is not our favorite language unless you have other parts of you that speak that language, which really we all have all the parts. We're not just one sign, right? We're all signs. They're ingredients in our person pie, as I like to call it. But you will feel it. This is going to be very emotional. You'll be having to deal with your emotions and other people's emotions. This is a time where you may have to take some steps back to deal with your inner world. And you may want that fire, that fire of Mars having been in Leo, that fire of Mercury having been in Sagittarius, that Sagittarius party that we had November until the beginning of January. That was what we thrived on. We had a grand trine of that energy for a while, and it was really, really great, really uplifting, really supportive, really magical, and really good angles for us. But now all of this water is just kind of going to dog you. But if you know that it's happening, then you don't have to wonder why. And at least these Aquarius energies will be buoyant for us, because that makes, the air and the fire are a different profile altogether. So the social connections, the mental, good mental rapport that you have with people from these Aquarius placements this month, all of that is going to help to buoy you as these, these water aspects set in. You can accept this time as a time to rest, especially as the month progresses. Use the Capricorn energy to get your stuff done, bust through, and then just relax. Read a good book, do some art projects, do a digital detox, go on a little cleanse if that's good for your health. I'm not making medical suggestions, just the water energies are really good for that type of thing. And get some inner work done, do your, spiritual work. All of that is it's really sweet. And it can be really, really, really good for close personal connections and experiences with the people that you love, your family and, other people close to you. Will be drastically different than the fire frenzy. And it is something we really need to know about this month. In the days around January 13th, we've got that full moon, bringing fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, squaring our placement, bringing a point of tension to home and family, perhaps, for that full moon in Cancer. Now, the later you are, later degree people, so the same people who I suggest that you listen to the Taurus reports. So basically, if your birthday is like April 15th through the rest of the sign, or you have an Aries degree like 23 degrees to the end of the sign, then I suggest you listen to my Taurus report as well, because you cuspy people will benefit from both readings. So if you're in that case, then just keep listening straight through after this report, because I'll go right into the Taurus one. But you same people, and even a little bit more, like those of you 19 degrees through the rest of the sign, birthday is around April 13th through the rest of the sign, then you're going to probably notice this square of this full moon more, okay? Because it will come in direct mathematical connection with you. Now, again, this doesn't have to be something to fear. It is something to be aware of. Family things will likely come up and come out. It could mean something great, that you finally crack through your busy schedule and have this beautiful family experience, and the pressure point could be just like making it happen. Or, there could be something coming to fruition, or drama, or a decision that has to be made, or something coming out all around family, housing, real estate, etc. In the days around January 29th, we've got that Aquarius new moon all taking place with all this other stuff in Aquarius. And this is a chance for you to redo your experience with technology. If you need to be more involved in it, this could be a time where you set the intention to do that. If you need to step away from it a little bit, this could be a time when you do that. But either way, you're planting beautiful seeds for a more enriching relationship in your social spheres and in the world of technology. When you go to anniehelpsyou.com and you sign up for my free VIP community, you will also get all of my favorite aspects of the month, all of the ones to watch out for, in my write-up. So you just put your name and email address in there, and then get the welcome letter, click on the archive link, and then put in January 2025 astrology, and it will pull up the write-up for this month that will have, all of those dates. So if you have other placements that you want to watch for, just see the timestamps so that you can watch for your sun and your moon and your rising and whatever other placements to get, a multi-layered picture of what this month could be like for you. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube, and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Okay, Taurus friends, so let's do our deep dive into how this foundation that we've already set up can play into your personal chart, and some other factors that are going to flavor this month for you. The first, and I think really most exciting thing that I want to talk about, is Mercury going into Capricorn, the Sun moving through Capricorn, and Pallas Athena being there, all moving through your 9th house of Sagittarius. This is a wonderful, wonderful thing for Taurus placements. And it sort of started in December. It would be nice if the factors that we could discuss in horoscopes would fit neatly into a calendar month, but they very rarely do. So, the things that we talk about have a carryover. They have an origin before this time. They can pass after this time. But pretty much this is going to be the last month of this very deep focus on Capricorn. making a trine the most favorable aspect in all of astrology for Taurus, full of opportunities, things landing in your lap. The retrograde energy is bringing something back to you that's wonderful. And this is a time for you to do your focused strategic planning. It's been very difficult to apply strategy or planning for that matter in November and December, the second half of November and all of December, really, because of the retrograde, Mercury retrograde. But now we're out of that. So we don't have to deal with it. So having Mercury and the Sun and Pallas here can give you this heightened mental clarity. Clarity is a good word for the shadow of Mercury passing and the trines coming in and the Capricorn earthy grounded energy, speaking your language. It can really help you with this attention to detail, these Taurus, connections, the trine, this beautiful elemental smooch back and forth is going to really enhance your ability to make thoughtful and grounded decisions, especially in areas related to finance and anything having to do with your material well-being and material success. Now, we also have to add in the layer of the ascendant energy, because when we run a chart to do a horoscope for Taurus, we're putting the Taurus placements on the ascendant. And this could be very confusing to people who have a different rising sign. Like if you are a Taurus sun or moon and you're not a Taurus rising, you may look at your chart that you're looking at and say, why don't I have these things going on in the ninth house in my chart? And that is because in the chart you're looking at with your natal chart, basically with Taurus as your rising, everything is going to match. But for a Taurus placement that has a different rising sign, this is a different chart. So what we're talking about here is a different layer of truth for you, equally true. But either way, when we're putting Taurus on the ascendant, whether as a solar chart for the sun or a lunar chart for the moon or whatever, Venusian chart if you have a Venus, Taurus Venus, then this brings up the ascendant. And the ascendant is where you shine. It's how you present yourself to the world. It's your physical body. It's that magical interface between the cosmic soup and the all that is, and you're springing into individuation, your individual expression. So all of these planets, Mercury, the Sun, and Pallas, are making this fabulous aspect to that space, to where you shine, to how you show up in the world. So that can bring you this increased productivity, this increased goal achievement. This can illuminate the practical ambitions that you need to align with. This is a harmonizing energy, like playing two notes on a piano that are a certain, percentage apart, that fit the harmonics. And that's what it sounds like. You can almost hear the angels singing with this aspect. So there's this drive to make this tangible progress on your goals. And you may be able to make tangible progress on long-term goals, but still having Mars in retrograde, you might have to temper those ambitions or be content with small steps or reevaluate things. But either way, it's supporting hard work and steady effort that's leading to these real accomplishments and the material success and, and strengthening of your physical body. Now, if we bring the ninth house into the storyline, now we've got the optimism and buoyance of Sagittarius. We've got the creative solutions, which is what can happen, the creative practical solutions. So Capricorn structured approach with Taurus's grounded energy and Sagittarius's expansive view can lead to these inventive solutions. The topic of invention is very strong because of all this energy in Aquarius as well. That's a very, Aquarius is a very inventive energy. So this may emphasize this building process, but and stability process, but at the same time bring in this extra surge of surprise of a good idea or something different or an aha moment. All of these energies can strengthen your personal values and your confidence and get you to get more clear on what those things are and how you're aligning with them, with your actions. It can also offer chances for education and study or teaching, immersive travel or cultural immersions, international business opportunities, immigration information could come in with this, with this combination. And it can just bring some optimism, bring some hope to a situation where you might not have felt very hopeful. Okay, so now let's move on to the Aquarian energies here and talk about the angle that they make. We'll take all of this in layers. So the Sun in Aquarius is, all of these placements are highlighting your 10th house, okay? Your 10th house of your public reputation. So the Sun there can illuminate your career and your public reputation. It can highlight these innovative techniques within your work. It can give you this desire to stand out in your professional field or to combine more closely with collaboration with a community or a large organization. It can give you opportunities within a large organization as well if you're trying to get a job there. It can connect you in with social and other networks that can help you to get the job that you want, or to advance, or to achieve something that doesn't have anything to do with your work. It could be a passion project. You know, your mother-father spectrum of the 4th, 10th house is very much highlighted here. You as a parent, your parents, your relationship there can definitely come up. And while there's this boom at the beginning of the month, you know, of tension, that, as I discussed earlier, can help you to crack out of this limitation. And you may crack out of this limitation in your work sector, which can add to the story of the mountains of, you know, the planetary clash bringing mountains of cash. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for at least 20 more years. So this is what is known as the grow or die aspect. And most of the time, this is figuratively dying, like a chapter ending, a part of you, you know, closing up. Sometimes it does relate to actual death, though. You know, so I always say when I see this going on, just try to get straight with everyone in your life, you know, your relatives, your parents, your kids, just try to do the work of saying the things that you wouldn't want to be left unsaid in case something like this happens, so that if it does happen, then you won't have to regret not working through it. And if nothing like that does happen, then you just enrich your relationships, which is part of what Pluto is trying to do. But either way, Pluto is bringing this transformation or transformative power, and it's pushing you to rethink. Remember, with retrogrades, RE is our prefix of many of the things that it's bringing in for you. So it's pushing you to rethink your ambitions, let go of career structures that no longer serve your highest potential. You know, you might experience these deep changes in your professional life, like pursuing a new path, or, you know, birthing something new, or transforming what you already are doing, taking on leadership roles, transforming how other people perceive your authority and your influence. So not only is that happening now, that's happening for the long term. Now, these other placements are short term, again, like the Sun. So Ceres here can help you to nurture your work-life balance. And that indeed is what a lot of this polarity is about. You're going to be having squeaky wheels in your public life and squeaky wheels in your home life, and you may feel pulled in two different directions. But the general energy of Ceres here can really, you know, just help you to nurture this work-life balance and help you to find solutions. That's Sag energy, you know, this 9th house being highlighted, can help you to find creative solutions and in how you're going to balance this. The transit is also an invitation. It's inviting you to cultivate a career that allows you to not only be aligned with your personal values, but also to pay attention to self-care, your emotional well-being, and how you can factor those habits into a sustainable work future. Okay. So that's a big opportunity that's coming up. And because these are pressure points, you know, this is a square, this might take a little work to do. You know, you might not be achieving this work-life balance. You might not be achieving this self-care, but these planets are pushing you to ask the questions, at least, as to how you can make this happen. Now, in general, Venus in Aquarius for a little while longer here in the beginning of the month is going to bring this charm and this ease and these social connections into this public or career sector. So it can be like one of the best times for networking, for forming positive professional relationships, for going back to old contacts with the retrograde, bringing you back to something. Venus here can also encourage you to find more joy and creativity, and money could be more lucrative in your work, or you could get funding for your public projects that might not be work-based. And overall, it's just seeking to give you this greater degree of freedom and this greater degree of expression. So the summary of these aspects are basically you're revolutionizing your career path, you're empowering your public image, whether it's work related or just, yourself out in the world. You're building connections and your support networks, you're building those. You're creating work-life balance and a sustainable circumstance for your self-care. As I was saying, this first house, this line here that all of this is connecting to is your physical body. And that's where this, this self-care and the sustainability for your physical body is coming in with these aspects. So very quickly into the month, Venus is going to get into Pisces, and this is going to bring a water element that flows nicely with your earth element. And this is a more quiet, dreamy, inspired, connected space. So this can bring a lot of harmony to your friendships and your community space. This can bring softness, a softer side, a heart connections rather than, business outcomes or material outcomes. And the networking can be more heart-centered or heart-based. And you may find that you want to connect with a few members of a larger community so that you're not as overwhelmed. So as the month progresses, you might start to get a little bit more introverted, a little bit more introspective. And you may be able to make some key, because Venus does rule money and finances. You may be able to make some key connections where you kind of hone in on, instead of being at a luncheon with 50 people, now you're having lunch with somebody that you met at a networking thing, and you're kind of really drilling down into how you can support each other. And this also rules romance and dating. So, social connections may lead you to some opportunities there. And in general, just this heightened capacity for generosity, compassion, which can really help you to see other people's side of a story or a situation and help them to see yours as well. So the key benefits for this whole transit of Venus moving through Pisces, through your 11th house, has to do with creating supportive communities, heart-connected communities, achieving these idealistic goals, that are lofty but heartfelt, and in general, just enjoying these harmonious group dynamics. Okay, so now let's talk about Mars going back into Cancer. So when it moves through Leo, it's actually in the house of Cancer for Taurus. So even when it was in Leo, it was still highlighting your home and family. You're not getting out of that this whole long transit. Then when it retrogrades back into Cancer, it leaves the house of Cancer, but it's in the sign of Cancer. So you're still perpetuating this focus on home and family and real estate and housing, and going back to things, rethinking things, reconsidering things, trying things, experimenting with things. And then Mars will start to highlight this third house, which is the house of Gemini, which is communication. And this might bring you to reassess your communication style. It can bring up unresolved frustrations or miscommunications, especially with these family members that are close to you or in close proximity. The third house rules proximity. It could be something flaring back up with your neighbors. It can have something to do with reconnecting with your local community or your siblings or your cousins or, other relatives like that. It can cause you to reevaluate your mental and learning habits. So basically your thinking process, your learning process. It can give you like an encouragement to have a review of how you approach learning and how you approach information processing and mental tasks. So in the sign of Cancer, you might find yourself revisiting these old interests that have to do with your childhood or places you lived before. And it can also bring up things like writing or speaking, mindful communication, things like that. So the key opportunities that are going to come to Taurus for this transit is improving your communication with your loved ones, reflecting on your personal growth through learning, possibly going back to study something you were interested in before, or finally studying something you've been trying to get to, and building these, emotional connections and your emotional resilience. Along the lines of the energy of Cancer, we also have that full moon in Cancer. The days around January 13th, so fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama also coming to that space, for elucidation. Then we've got, in the days around January 29th, we have the new moon at around 10 degrees of Aquarius. So a time for making wishes and intentions for rebuilding your relationship with technology and your community connections. So check out the time stamping so that you can, or fast forward, however you want it to get there, to look for your moon, your rising, and your sun. And then you can watch reports for each, and that will give you different layers of truth for your astrological picture this month. If you don't know your moon and your rising, you can just search online how to run a free birth chart, and you can just run it online as long as you have your birth time or close, very close to it. Then you can actually just do that, and then you can go deeper into my and other people's reports. Go to anniehelpsyou.com to sign up for my free VIP community to get my favorite dates of the month, the ones to be most awareful and careful of, by getting the welcome letter, clicking on the archive link, and then putting in January 2025 astrology. You will find that. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course that can take you from wherever you're at with astrology and teach you how to earn money from your love of the stars. And if you're looking for personalized readings for the outer planets of how these big behemoths over many years will be affecting your personal chart, you can go to anniebclarity.com. Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. Hello, Gemini friends. Okay, so we're going to drill down using the information from the introduction to lay the foundation for the things we're going to discuss in your sign-specific report. This is for you if Gemini is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Gemini placement that you're listening for. What we're going to talk about here is specific for you. We're going to be concentrating a lot of energy, our discussion for the short-term transits, the ones that are breezing through, the transits that make this month different than the recent months and the months to come, are those short-term planets, those short-term transits, the ones that move faster. And we'll touch on some of the longer-term transits as well, but there's a lot of energy here in the top right quadrant of the chart. Mercury, now complete with its Mercury retrograde cycle, and as of January 3rd, all clear and happy, will take you out of that phase of reconsidering your relationships and going back over things, and put you in a position to be able to move forward with your relationships and with the new information that you have. You may be meeting a lot of people of consequence. You may be expanding your customer profile or your network contacts. And so, this is a very big time for your relationship space. And as Mercury moves out of the 7th house, it will move into Capricorn. It will join the Sun and Pallas Athena in lighting up the sign of Capricorn, but specifically Gemini's 8th house. So let's take this into layers. Capricorn is one of the zodiac stars this month, and with Mercury, the Sun, Pallas Athena there's a lot of energy and strategy. The Sun is lighting up where you have to have some discipline and where you have to rein in some of your efforts and where you have to get super discerning to have a better life. Really, let's face it, what is the point of astrology except to help you have a better life? And by understanding what the lessons are, what the opportunities are, you can improve your life experience. That's why I do astrology. So the Capricorn energies are pointing you towards the arena of discipline, of building, of strategy, of, getting some foundational things sorted out. It also can be just something as simple as getting your taxes done, because I can tell you that this month will be the best month for the next several for trying to get things done like that. Because if you are a Gemini who is prone to distraction, as many are, then having this nice earthy energy to get some discipline, to do some important paperwork or other things, if you have other projects, could be you have a communication project with Mars here working this 3rd house of Gemini in retrograde, something that you're supposed to be getting done, you're not going to have as much chance for discipline in the upcoming months, many months, as you do right now. So take advantage of it. Now, specifically for Gemini, this 8th house is getting highlighted. The 8th house is the house of other people's money, of shared resources. It's basically a space of intangibility. resources and assets that are harder to pinpoint, different than just cash, more like investments, intangibles, the types of investments that you really don't understand what they are, even if you understand what they are, like crypto, and like even just stocks in general, and even inner riches, those resources that an individual has that are hard to quantify, but they're still very powerful. So you're having this being lit up. The sun is literally acting like a spotlight, amplifying your inner world, and it's giving you a chance to focus on the lesser seen aspects of your life and put some strategy to them, put some organization to them. Could be something as simple as finding a really great mystery, series, reading it or watching it. You're delving into the lesser seen realms, and there's great joy in that. And you might get some important information too. Mercury there, Mercury joining this party. There could be information about wills or winnings or earnings or loans or something that you have access to, some kind of program or support. You need to do something like refinance a loan, like, get capital out of money that you have. This could be a good time for that because it's really focused on getting you the resources that you need to do the things that you want to do or are supposed to be doing. After having such a long time from the beginning of November straight through into the beginning of January with a bunch of Sagittarius energy, all of that energy was opposing your placement. So it's a very dizzying time in general, but especially for Geminis who are in the opposite end of the spectrum from Sag. So this is kind of, as we're moving into January, this is a time in some ways for your nervous system to start to relax. As Mercury moves out of that space and into this space, it's really getting all of the excess whittled down into a couple of areas of focus. Then, of course, the sun will move into Aquarius. Venus is in Aquarius for a little longer. As the month progresses, we get a very different picture, away from this grounded, solid, disciplined energy of Capricorn and into this mental plane focus, which speaks your language very strongly. So as the planets are moving through Aquarius, Venus is there at the beginning of the month, and then the sun will get there towards the end of the month. So you've got this semblance of having your language be spoken. And then we also add to that the new moon, which is also the Chinese New Year, which is, we'll just write that down, January 29th, 10 degrees Aquarius. We have a new moon, the start to the Chinese New Year, which is a very auspicious time for clearing out the old and bringing in the new. So we've got that newness at the beginning of the month from our Gregorian calendar. We've got the Chinese astrological calendar moving us into new energy. So you can see there is this story of sort of out with the old, in with the new. And these Aquarius placements, Ceres is there as well, really lighting things up for Gemini. This is a sweet spot that just exists throughout the whole month of January. Lots of social possibilities, lots of chances to do things that are new and different and exciting and weird and wacky and wild and innovative and futuristic. And all of this, specifically for Gemini, lights up your 9th house of Sagittarius. So we talked about how Mercury is in Sag for a little bit longer. In the beginning of the month, we talked about how we've had a Sagittarius spree. Now we're talking about how your Sagittarius house of the 9th house is getting lit up. So this story of teaching, the value of learning something, the value of teaching the things that you know, the value of getting your thoughts down into a place where they could be shared, or you taking information for the purpose of enriching your life or improving your employment. Okay, so the next place is Venus, the ruler of money and finances, is going to be highlighted in your 10th house of Capricorn. Okay, so the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn. We have the Capricorn transit. So you see there's like a little, grouping of energies that just keep coming up that are present this month. So you will see them. You'll see current. You know, it really is like currents. If you've ever been in an ocean and, you know, there's like a cold current, there's a warm current, you know, and you could have your leg in a cold current while your arm's in a warm current. And it's like that. That's what astrology is like, because there are all of these currents and you're feeling them at the same time. So you've got the optimism and the education and expansive focus of Sagittarius coming from multiple directions. You have the tedious, responsibility laden, laser focus of Capricorn. Then you've got the just wacky, weird, wild, and wonderful through short term, and now with Pluto there, big long term 20-year transit, bringing this edge of just something new, something different. So you'll be looking for anchors, places to hold the energy, you know, for your new growth. And then you'll be looking for the ways that you can explore and experiment. So as I alluded to in the summary at the beginning, you know, that was our foundation for adding this layer. Venus is going to go retrograde soon. It will start its shadow period at the end of January, and I gave you the rest of the dates before, so we're not going to go over them again. But it's important to know this moving forward, because Venus usually blows through a house very quickly and gives us a boost, you know, some extra money. In this case, it's in your work employment house, you know, a bonus, a raise, recognition, you know, an opportunity, a new job, something like that. But this is going to be a longer term focus, because Venus will blow through Aquarius here quickly, go through Pisces, through the first part of Aries, and then when it retrogrades, it will go back into Pisces. So you're going to have extra focus on what is it that you're trying to do with your life? What ways have you made money in the past? You know, basically a several month invitation to reflect and reassess your professional life, your public reputation, how you approach ambition, what rewards that you're getting from the work that you do. So it will be deeply introspective in certain ways, you know, for the Pisces part of the retrograde, and then very external for the Aries part of the retrograde. So it's going to run quite a wide gamut. But this is definitely you're stepping into a time of major reflection on whether your career path aligns with, you know, what you're trying to do. Also may have prosperity or ways of earning money that will come back to you from the past. So this is kind of ushering in, it's not officially retrograde yet, but because the shadow period does start at the end of this month, these themes are going to start coming in. Okay, so we do still have Jupiter in Gemini. That was May 2024 that this started. It will go through June 2025. And it's only 1 year every 12 years that we get Jupiter in our sign. And Jupiter is the great expander, and it is in retrograde. So either way, whether it's moving forward or moving direct, the whole year that this is happening is a very powerful time for your personal growth, for your self-expression, for expanding your horizons, for creating prolific ways of expressing and sharing whatever your mode of creation. It's a general time where things that may have been small issues may become big issues for the purpose of you actually dealing with them. And it's one of the best times for you to bust out into the world in new and wonderful ways. Now, here we are in the midst of all this retrograde energy. Mars retrograde, Venus is going to start, Jupiter's retrograde. So you might not be like bursting at the seams with this at this moment, but the general bigger picture is this story of expansion. And so when we've got the retrograde time, you're going back over your foundations so that you can rise higher as everything starts moving direct. Because if you've ever seen them build a skyscraper, I would say that I'm a city girl only because I was born and raised in New York City. I don't live in cities anymore, but I know them very well. And I've seen many a skyscraper being built. And the taller the skyscraper is going to be built, the deeper they have to go to anchor this thing. Because, you know, it sways and it moves and we don't want it to topple. So you have to have that balance at the other end. And I always like to think of Jupiter retrograde as a time when you might want to be growing your skyscraper, but what you are doing is you're making sure that your foundations are strong enough so that you can grow higher. And you'll be set to soar magnificently from February through June with the work that you're doing now. So you're kind of taking a step back, reevaluating some things, you know, being the spider. This retrograde energy, remember, is the time to be the spider and just wait in your web to see what comes to you rather than conjuring. It's a time to wait on the shore and see what comes to you rather than conjuring. It's a time to go back and see what things, clutter, relationship issues, housing situations, everything in your life that's right in front of your face, how those things may need to be modified. And of course, your inner world. So that when it comes time to build big again, you can do that in ways beyond what you could imagine now. Okay, so the last date that I want to give you is that full moon at 24 degrees of Cancer. Fullness, completion, fruition, drama in the home, family, housing. We talked about that in the intro. But specifically for Gemini, this is in your money house. So fullness, fruition, creation, can come into turning into cash, which my theme of the month was looking at the Mars-Pluto transit and how this can actually, be a clash that brings cash. Geminis have a second line of energy into earned income coming up in a very big way, with possibly a very big showing of a financial boom. Okay, so if you don't know your sun, your rising, and your moon sign, you can run a free birth chart online. Just search for how to run a free birth chart online. Get your moon and rising, and I suggest if you want to go deeper into the potentials of this month, the layers that will be affecting you more personally, you can, listen to the timestamp section for your sun, your moon, and your rising. Find the timestamps on the YouTube version. If you click on the ... the more button and then the ... it will be there. But I am also going to make a post under it and then feature that post so that it stays up close to the video itself. Those of you in the podcast version, I see that sometimes my notes that I make in my Buzzsprout, if you search for Annie Botticelli Buzzsprout podcast, all my notes always show up there. So you can see the timestamps if you're watching in that version or you're listening in that version. But if you're on another podcast version, they might not sync over. So if you want to find them, you can find the Buzzsprout version. If you resonate with my work, please like, subscribe, and click the bell so that my go directly into your feed. You can take it one step further to enable notifications to make sure that everything I post, you will get delivered right to you. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoints on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Okay, Cancer friends, so moving forward with listening to this this part segmented just for you, I'm assuming that you listened to the intro in the beginning, because I talked about things there that I'm not going to talk about here that are important for you to understand what we're about to discuss. This is for you if Cancer is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Cancer placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Okay, so we already have reviewed, this is a very retrograde month, but Mercury is waking up, so you will start to feel the energy of New Year, bubbling through. Mars still will be retrograde for a while. It has been featuring retrograde in your sign, and it will go back there this month. The brief pop in here into Leo, it has been, and now it's going back to focus on you. So basically, since last September of 2024, this very, very, very deep reflective inward focus on your identity, on your physical energy, on how you use your physical energy, your self-expression, who you are, how you present who you are into the world, has been a very deep dive. And we're all going through Mars retrograde together. But Cancer people, you have a special layer of this. You know, really, your opportunities are nothing short of being able to completely revamp how you use your energy. And by the time all of this gets clear, you know, in the months to come, that you can just be a completely different person in the way of how you use your energy. And this can change everything for you. You've been reassessing your motivations, your personal goals, how you assert yourself, how you get things done. You know, there's just a lot of wasting of energy that goes on in humans in general. And having this deep dive is a really beautiful blessing because you're able to see those inefficiencies and able to start to get online to make this energy efficient. Of course, because being in the sign of Cancer, it will bring up these things with family. It will bring up these things from the past, things that you may be angry about, things that you have to get resolved, things that you may need support in getting resolved because, you know, you can't manage it on your own. Patterns, familial patterns, housing, you know, housing your unit where you live, or housing like real estate, business, things like that. Your family of origin, your ancestry, and your family that you've created. So you're still in this very deep dive of getting some things worked out here and doing major reevaluation. Mars energy can be very obsessive. The polarity we're looking at here with the retrograde is laziness and avoidance versus obsessive hyperfocus. So you'll notice that you're just kind of completely stepping away from certain areas of your life, and then you're obsessively hyperfocusing on others, you know, and as you find your balance, you're sort of, you know, working out these extremes. Now, at the same time as all of this is going on, we're also going to have a full moon in your sign. All right, so January 13th, the days are on January 13th. We have fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama coming to your first house. Okay, so the days around the 13th, the middle of the month. More focus on everything Cancerian, your inner world, your family, your housing, etc. So look for something notable to happen here at the middle of the month. This is a really wonderful time, you know, in our 13 moon cycles. When we have a full moon, a new moon in our own sign, this is a very special chance, especially here with the full moon, to elucidate, to bring to the surface things that have just been under the surface, address the elephant in the room, you know, get something out finally so that it doesn't have to bother you anymore. So in that way, this could be very dramatic, in a challenging way, because it can be things that have to come out, and it might not come out very gracefully, but it also could be something super positive, like you accomplish something, you reach a goal, you know, you close on a house, you do something significant with your housing, something that you've been working on with your family comes to fruition, you get important news, you know, your life changes in some sort of way on the Cancerian level. So I think the next logical place to move in the chart is in the polarity here, from the first house of all of this Cancer energy to the seventh house. Cancer and Capricorn are a dual pair. They represent inner world, your outer world, your place in the home, your place in the office or out in the world, your public life, your private life, this dual scene here. So while your inner world is getting very, very, very much addressed and worked on, your outer world is also popping up here. Mercury will get into Capricorn. The sun is there elucidating, bringing, you know, light and information from Mercury, and brightness and focus from the sun, and strategy from Pallas Athena. So this can be a really great time that you get some things situated with work, with your job, with employment. You get a strategy, you get a plan, and it just works out nicely that you know, at the beginning of the year, these Capricorn energies are happening, and this really helps us to get our focus for the year to come. Now, specifically for Cancer, this highlights your house of relationships. So you're going to be in talks with people. You're going to be working things out. You're going to be, you know, having important meetings, no doubt, with Mercury there. And this is a good time to do that. The one thing to watch out for is just the possibly unresolved things that Mars is working on. You know, that, so if you feel angry about something, if you can get out that anger before you get into the discussion and not let the discussion be about getting out the anger, you'll be so much better off. You know, like do a role play with a friend where you say the things you want to say, and then when you are in the actual situation, you don't actually say them, or you write everything out terribly what you want to say, and then you don't wind up saying that kind of situation. But if you go into talks and communication at this time, especially because of this opposition that is made for the Cancer placements, you know, this could be a little bit warlike. And as I discussed, not only do we have this polarity between, you know, you versus other people, we also have Pluto clashing with Mars. So there's probably going to be a showdown. And this is like the end of December, the first part of January. There's a showdown with someone or someones who you've had feelings about that have to come out. So yeah, look out for that. Try to tread lightly and try to get yourself more clear before you actually get into those discussions. Because this is very much centered about, you know, this is kind of moving us along the spectrum here. We talked about the 7th house. Now we've got all this energy in the 8th house. We've got Pluto there. We've got the moon there at the 29th. We've got the new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius. We've got Ceres there. We've got Venus there. The sun will get to Aquarius. So this story of me versus we really blends into my stuff versus our stuff, and really starting to get some things established in your money world. And there probably is going to be a showdown, a power struggle of some sort, where you're asserting the things that are important to you, you know, with other people who are holding power in your financial sector. The Aquarian energies can give innovative solutions. You know, we've got the Capricorn energies doing traditional things where you're trying to hold some sort of skeleton of things together, and then the tradition, the things that were always done. And then all of this Aquarius energy is representing the new way to build upon that skeleton. And so you're in talks with these people, you know, these companies or these people in your life, trying to come up with solutions to this shared issue of these things that have been brewing for a while. Now, remember, there are 3 passes of this Pluto moon or Pluto Mars thing, beginning of November, now at the beginning of January, and then again at the end of April. So there is some sort of storyline that is getting worked out here, and this is another chapter. Now, I mentioned in the intro report that we also are starting back up with our eclipse season. So at the end of the month, you may start to see, you know, even second half of January, really, information, news along the lines of Aries, Libra, polarity, which are the houses of the 1st and 7th house, which are already activated by all this other energy. Then the eclipse stories themselves, me versus we, coming up very strongly. This is the last chapter of a 2-year chapter that started in early 2023 that ends here in the first half of 2025. Many of you will be able to readily, you know, assess, wow, okay, yes, there is something very specific going on with me in relationships with other people for these last 2 years. Something's been brewing, something's been building, another part of the story is coming through here. The end of this story might not really come until the spring or the fall for you all, Dananda. But this is, you know, this is happening. And specifically for Cancer, your home versus work, your 4th house, which is Cancer house, versus your Capricorn house, which is the 10th house, is being lit up. So this is very common in astrology that we see themes or polarities that are strong for a person at a given time are often reiterated by multiple layers of energy. So it would have been enough to have Mars in Cancer and the full moon in Cancer, and then all this energy in Capricorn and that story of home versus work coming up. But It's also happening from the eclipse storyline, and it's bubbling back up into the conscious space. Every 6 months, we have these eclipses that bring everything that were under the surface up to be looked at in a big, sometimes dramatic way. So you've got a big storyline that's building here again. Now we add to that Venus is going to go into Pisces. And as it does, it joins Saturn also in Pisces, Neptune is still in Pisces, and all of these long-term and then now this Venus short-term energy is accentuating your ninth house. So this brings up the story of education, of learning things, of expanding your horizons for your work or for your play. This is the story of long-distance travel. This is the story of balancing work and home and play and work, and really asking yourself, what the heck is it all for? What is it all for? What is your ultimate goal? And how much are you on track, or how far are you off track with the bigger goal of what it is all for? Something also important to note is that Venus moving through Pisces usually doesn't take very long. But because Venus is going to be starting its pre-shadow transit, I gave you the dates for that in the intro, so I'm not going to go over those again. But at the end of the month, we do start the Venus shadow period. And that Venus retrograde will take place over Venus in Aries and Venus in Pisces. So Venus will go into Pisces, it will pass on into Aries, and it will retrograde in Aries and go back into Pisces. So whatever the story is of Venus moving through your ninth house, moving through Pisces, is not as short term as it tends to be. So this is asking yourself, how can you earn money with international business? How can you broaden your horizons in your current business? Is there something for you in a different country or involving a different language? Do you need education to do what you want to with your job? Do you want to move into doing education for your work? And wherever Venus goes, it tends to bring money. So you may bring money back from the past. You may go back to a place that you loved before. At this time, travel someplace that you have been. But basically, international places and things far away might be coming up in a big way and have some relationship to your work and your earnings. So before we close out, I just want to mention again that Jupiter's movement. Jupiter is in Gemini from May 2024 through June 2025. It's a great expander. It's been moving through your house of your intuition, helping you to step further out of this battle between faith and fear. Many Cancers are worriers, and this Jupiter in the 12th house of your unconscious mind can serve to escalate those fears to the point where you have to do something about it, which helps you to get the discipline. Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter's in the house of Pisces. See, there's a tag team story going on here with Jupiter for you and with Saturn, because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. Pisces rules the 12th house. Saturn wants discipline in your mind. Jupiter is expanding your emotional and your intuitive faculties. So you're really having opportunities to heighten your intuition, to be able to tell the difference between your intuition and your fear, to develop that relationship with synchronicity, the language of spirit, talking to you at all times, which can help you to guide your actions, which can help you to use your energy in better ways, which is tied into the Mars retrograde, help you to have more discernment with the relationships in your life, and to make the business dealings and the decisions with home versus work that you need to make. So you see this beautiful little story is wrapping up, with all of these layers winding into each other in this magical way. If you resonate with my work, please like, subscribe, click the bell to receive and enable notifications. I've heard if you don't click the bell and enable notifications, you still won't get my info into your feed. So if you want to see more from me, I go through times where I post more regularly. I'm about to step into that time right now. So you won't miss anything from me if you do all of those things. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be, giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com. and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hey, Leo friends. Now I'm going to dive in deep into your personal horoscope for January. And some things we talk about will be before that time and after that time. Astrological transits don't always neatly fit into a calendar month exactly, but we'll use January as our basis. If you haven't already listened to my summary report, the intro at the beginning, make sure you do that, because I'm going to refer back to that. And I won't be giving dates that I gave then. So we're just going to drill in deeper to add layers to what we already discussed. This is for you if Leo is your sun sign, your moon sign, rising sign, or any other Leo placement that you're listening for. What we're going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. And if you're a very late degree Leo friend, I suggest you additionally listen to my Virgo report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. Late degree friends are basically like August, we'll say around August 15th for the rest of the sign. Those are the very later late degree friends. Or if you have Leo placements like 23 degrees or later, I suggest you, in those groupings, listen to the Virgo report additionally. Okay, so we're going to start out talking about this, just a little bit more about this Pluto-Mars thing. I know I discussed it at length. I'm not going to go back over the things we discussed, but I have to draw it into the Leo chart and show you how personal this is for you. It's in the sign of Leo, Mars, and your opposing sign, Pluto and Aquarius. So there is something more personal about some of this for you. This is going to be especially true for those of you who are early in the Leo birthdays. So my friends, like July 21st, 22nd, 23rd, I know I've got a bestie in there at the 22nd. All of you are going to very likely have a very big showdown, okay? And sometimes this is a showdown with yourself, but because it's on the descendant and the ascendant, this is yourself and the seventh house cusp. You know, there's somebody in your life, maybe more than one person, that has been building for a showdown, okay? Now, the more that you can work out the energy before you talk to them, the more productive this can actually be, and you can finally have a breakthrough with this. You may have to, you know, use the help of someone doing trauma work if this issue is from an earlier time in your life. A lot of times, if we have patterns in our adult life, they started in our childhood, and possibly some would argue even sooner than that. But we're not going to get into that now. But the point is that this authority figure thing, this, you know, issue that you're having, establishing yourself as an authority figure, or having people mess with you, or someone in a powerful position, you know, opposing you, and maybe not using their energy in the right way. This is a very big personal issue, and it's very much tied into this Mars retrograde through your sign, where you're looking for these things that you have been mad about for a long time. Okay, so doing anger work, even if you think that you're a happy Leo, your happy-go-lucky focus may be repressing things that you're mad about that could be causing trouble for you. Because the best way I can explain this when I look at it energetically is that emotions have a charge, right? And when we're in a high emotion, for better or worse, we say that we're charged, right? We're charged with emotion. And those charges literally have like a charge, a magnetic charge. We have an electromagnetic field. You know, our heart is beating. We have an electrical system, and we're connected to the earth. That's the magnetism of the earth mixes with our electrical field and puts an electromagnetic field around us. That is not metaphysical. That is true. I mean, I'm not saying that metaphysical things aren't true. I'm saying it's actually provable. Okay. It's not just theoretical. And when you have a charge about something, it is pulling things to you to reveal and balance out this charge. Okay. So you've got some things that you're mad about, and now you're pulling in these people that are going to give you a reason to be mad, to show you that you were mad even before that person came to you. All right. So I'm not going to belabor that, but this is a very big, important, very personal thing. But we do have a lot of other things going on here. So let's see what else. Mercury, having just been retrograde and going direct in Sagittarius, has been really great for your creativity, maybe going back to old projects. Hopefully now at the beginning of January, you've got a better idea of some directions you want to take some of those creative projects. In the retrograde time or prior to this, you may have had some backpedaling in your romantic relationships or in things involving children, maybe more in a place to move forward with these now. Mercury going into Capricorn, the sun already there, and Pallas Athena there is bringing you to a focus on your health, your wellness, your daily routine, and whether it's fulfilling or not, and how you can make it so. Maybe you need more discipline, and maybe you can use New Year's resolutions to help you do that. There are a bunch of people who are anti-New Year's resolution. I am for whatever it is that can help someone feel like they have a clean new slate and to move into focusing on having their best life possible. So if a New Year's resolution does that for you, then this could be grand. And specifically, you've got a lot of discipline around your health right now. And you have a lot of discipline around your work. If you're trying to build a business, if you're self-employed or in the office or whatever your situation is, there's a lot of strategy going on here. This is a fantastic time to do your taxes or any other tedious things, because for a while, you're not going to, until the planets really start getting into Taurus, which is going to be a while from now, you're not going to have this level of earthy discipline to get stuff done. That's why I'm saying just do your taxes. You'll be happier if you get them done, or anything else that has to be wrapped up like that. Now, Pluto moving into Aquarius for the next 20 years is heralding a time. And when I say heralding, really you've been experiencing this over the last couple of years because Pluto's been teeter-tottering on the edge of Aquarius. And when you're talking about a planet out that far, if it's close to something, it's like it's really there. Okay, so it's essentially been in Capricorn and Aquarius at the same time. And this has been over recent years bringing in fated relationships for Leos. Very, very fated, feeling like the hand of the divine is at work here, for better and worse. Very intense birth, death, transformation, rebirth, really, types of situations in your life. So this is happening. This is going to be happening for a while. And, so the more that you can look out for synchronicity, the more these fated relationships will come in, or the karma can be unwound in the relationships that you have currently. So as the month moves on, we will continue to get more energy in Aquarius. We actually start the month out with quite a bit of Aquarius energy to begin with, coupled at the same time as that Capricorn energy. So, of course, Pluto there, the moon there, beginning of the month will be there again at the end of the month. We've got Ceres there, we've got Venus there, the sun will get there. So all of this is trying to give you new ways to do things. It's giving you networking opportunities. It's asking you to look beyond what is normal and traditional. You've got Capricorn there asking you to hold some tradition, to keep a skeleton for the new things. And you've got Aquarius there saying, hey, how can we come up with a solution for this that's completely out of the box? So any place where you've been in the box, you're now getting out of the box. And this is a time for that. And this is highlighting your house of relationships. So very, very focused on your individual relationships, your one-on-one relationships with other people. Then Venus will get out of Aquarius and will move into Pisces. Very important to know, this story of Venus in Pisces may seem like it's short term because it usually blows through pretty quickly. But because Venus is starting its shadow period for retrograde at the end of the month, Venus will move into Aries over time here, then it will go back into Pisces. So its retrograde will be in Venus and Pisces. So this 8th and 9th house energy, which I'm going to focus on next, is really going to be an area of very strong focus for the upcoming several months. It's not just Venus blowing through. And it has to do with money. It has to do with shared resources. It has to do with family money. It has to do with spousal money. It has to do with investments. So money may come to you, just straight and simple. Venus moving through the 8th house, this can be money that comes to you. Saturn's there. Could have been busting your chops in your money sector. But you could get some blessings from the past coming in now. And you can be asking yourself, how can you benefit more from your shared finances? And how can you serve and share more with the people who you are entrenched financially, and how can you earn more from eighth house endeavors like crypto, like normal, investments, the old school stock investments, anything that you invest in. This is, well, anything you invest in, that's including yourself. I'm a huge advocate, and I want to sing it from the mountains, that we are actually our greatest investment. I've been in the investment world for a very long time. My dad taught me how to read the Wall Street Journal when I was like 8 years old. I started investing in stocks with my chore money when I was that old. And I was in that business professionally before. And I've been in various other sorts of businesses being an entrepreneur and helping other people run their businesses. So coming from this perspective, what I figured out is that we are actually our greatest investment. And the more you invest in your earning potential and your confidence and your financial confidence and your financial consciousness, and the more you invest in other people, which is what this is very much about. You see the 7th and 8th houses are other people houses. Your greatest investment right now might be in yourself and in other people, because those people can connect you to your abundance. Those people can support you as you need help along the way, or those people may just straight up give you money. So, starting to refocus your attention of investment on yourself and on other people may be one of the big things that's happening from the short and long-term transits that are happening now and in the upcoming time. Okay, some of this ties in is actually going to be with education. All right, so you may need to get educated. We've got all of this beautiful Aries energy. These are longer term transits. The transiting nodes, North Node, Chiron, Hygeia. Hygeia is not as long as these other ones. Aries, super long. All of this in Aries has been doing trine energy for Leo. That's the most favorable aspect in all of astrology. And Aries energy lights up the 9th house of Sagittarius for Leo. And the 9th house of Sagittarius rules education and teaching and international connections and, having your horizons broadened, etc. So there are some keys to your destiny, this transiting North Node, keys to your destiny in your education. And it doesn't have to be formal, but it can be formal. It doesn't have to be accredited, but it can be accredited. But basically, you investing in the things that you need to know to do the things that you want to do, with Venus impending retrograde, continued Mars retrograde, making you figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, how you want to do it, how to use your energy in the best way, how to be most efficient with your energy, and what you still need to know to create the things that you want and that you're supposed to be creating. As we come upon our new eclipse season, once again, we had a little bit of a break from the intensity of the eclipse storylines, but as of the second half of January, we're primed and ready for eclipse news. And that eclipse news from the Aries Libra eclipse cycle that has been going on since early 2023 is very much highlighting this 9th house versus 3rd house. So Gemini versus Sagittarius, the taking in of information and the disseminating of information, teaching and learning, sharing information. So there are some keys here for you, both in relationships, me versus we, and in the actual taking in and sharing of information. The second piece here, again, has to do, the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle has to do with your money versus other people's money. So all of that stuff we talked about with investments and you becoming enriched by enriching other people, this is what is real for you. This is what is happening in the short term and the longer term. Jupiter, since May 2024 into June 2025, is highlighting your Gemini section as well. This 3rd house that the nodes are highlighting are also being highlighted by Jupiter. So that is your communication. That is your connection with other people. And this 11th house that it is for Leo is a networking house. So your social groups and leveraging is a very big word for Leo right now. Okay, so learn more about that word if you don't understand what it means very well, because sometimes we hear words and we kind of understand them, but the more you can understand what this word means, the more you can do this, because leveraging the power of your 8th house, leveraging the power of your inner realms, Leveraging the power of your networks is what is going to bring you to where you want to be. If you resonate with my work, please click like, subscribe, click the bell, and enable notifications. All of these things will help you to have my YouTube posts go directly to you, and I will be posting more in the time to come more regularly, so you don't want to miss anything. And I think that most podcast venues, you can just subscribe through those venues as well. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Virgo friends. Okay, so we're going to drill now into the picture for Virgo specifically, and this is adding to the intro foundation that I gave you for all signs earlier in this report. So this is for you, Virgo, is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Virgo placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Virgo friends, so birthdays like September 15th through the rest of the sign, or Virgo degrees like 23 degrees through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to or watch my Libra report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. You can also search for how to run a free birth chart online. And once you have your birth chart, you can watch the reports for your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. And these will all be different layers of the astrological stories for you at this time. So the first thing that I'm looking at here that I'm excited about is Mercury will be getting into Capricorn pretty quickly. The sun is there. Pallas Athena is there. And all of this energy is going to light up and bring new, fresh life to your creativity sector. So if you have been in a funk, if Mars retrograde has been getting you feeling uninspired, if, this introspective focus from this retrograde, and also Jupiter being retrograde, which can cut out some optimism and can, just make things feel like they're going backwards, you may really, really, really welcome this fresh, chapter of inspiration. You may have interesting news regarding children or romance. You may have people come back in from the past, in a romantic context. The sun is like a giant spotlight, and it lights up the sector that it's moving through. So we look at the sign that it will light up, and we look at the house that it will light up. The sign that it's lighting up, along with joining Mercury and Pallas Athena in Capricorn, is really asking you to have discipline and focus in certain areas of your life. And a lot of Virgos are already disciplined, right? So right now, the universe is inviting you to have discipline with your creative efforts. So maybe you've been disciplined with other areas of your life, but maybe you haven't really taken the time to invest in education for your hobbies or interests, or, haven't taken the time to just really show people what you can do with the things that you love to do, basically. So this is a time where you get a chance to really focus on that. So that's pretty cool. And of course, any planets moving through Earth means that this is a trine for Virgo. Okay, so the trine is the most favorable aspect in all of astrology. So these are just sweet spots. And this is the time of the year when this happens. You may even notice a trend that you get makey in January, that you get inspired, you get crafty, you get ready to, just have a little bit of fun and lighten up, which is kind of ironic because you know, Capricorn is not very much about fun, but the fifth house in Leo is. And for Virgo, it is. So it's like you almost get disciplined about fun at this time. So you've had since 2008, Pluto moving through and sort of possibly wreaking havoc in your romantic sector, in your children, your creative babies, for better and worse. Pluto represents birth and death and transformation and rebirth. And since 2008, it has been causing you to, what the theme for Pluto is, grow or die. Basically, you might feel that way. You're like, oh, I keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And now Pluto has left. So something that, and this is true in the whole house chart, okay? And this is true for, you know, most of all the early degree people and middle degree people. Late degree people, same friends who I said I suggest you additionally listen to my Libra report, you know, like September 15th to the rest of the sign, 23 degrees to the rest of the sign. In your Placidus chart, you may still have a little bit longer of Pluto being in your fifth house, okay, for better and worse. So that's just a heads up. That's a layer of truth if you're a Placidus chart follower. Okay, so now where Pluto is going is about your pets, your animals, your relationships with animals, your Virgo house, basically, you know, discipline, your work, your daily routine, and your, you know, your office work or your self-employment work. So now Pluto is setting in this direction for 20 years of redoing all of those things. And that's in the long term. But in the short term, we've got the moon there at the beginning of the month. It will be there again at the end of the month. On the 29th, we've got the new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius. We've got Ceres there. Venus is there for a short time at the beginning of the month. The sun will get there towards, you know, after the third week of the month. And just basically a lot of energy there. So fresh infusions of energy also into your daily routine. So the combination of structure of Capricorn and new innovative things of Aquarius can mean that you are refreshing all of your standard practices. Whole new systems in your house, new ways of doing things, even things as simple as driving a different way to work can actually activate new neural pathways in your brain, which can open up your reticular activating system to new possibilities that are around you. So this is very much a time for fresh new things, even though our new year is a little bit sleepy from Mars being in retrograde. All right, so you'll feel Mercury wake up in a big way because the post-shadow period ended January 3rd. So in that way, it will feel very much like a new year. And, you know, you'll see these lines of energy where you can start implementing new things, which will be very exciting. Into 2026, you're still in this very strong building process from 2023 to 2026 of building relationships from the ground up. Things that matter, things that last. And that continues. You've also been going through a 13-ish year cycle of Neptune spiritualizing your relationships. So if you have come to spirit over these years, maybe Neptune is involved. Still have a little while longer of that going on. And then, of course, once Saturn and Neptune move out of Pisces, they move into the second placement of relationships, which is the 8th house. And so it will just continue the work that was done here. But you're basically, Virgos are in this long-term process of building relationships that matter on spiritual foundations and on showing up for people and them showing up for you. So that is just something that's ongoing. So I mentioned in the report, summary in the beginning that we are back in eclipse season. So this month, especially the second half of the month, you may start to notice the two polarities of eclipse cycle that we're working on are activated again. So we've had a little bit of a lull, a little bit of things kind of moving, back under the rug. And now in our eclipse season starting, so eclipse season is very strong in March and April, but starting towards the end of January, the 4 to 6, sometimes 8 weeks before the actual eclipses, things start to get all jacked up again. So the storylines we have going on here are the last me-we eclipse cycle of Aries Libra, 2023 to 2025. And specifically for Virgo, that activates your second house of Taurus and your eighth house of Scorpio. So my stuff, our stuff, me versus we. So you're going to see those stories come up. And then, of course, being a Virgo, you are actively in an eclipse cycle with your sign. So from 2024 to 2027, you are very strongly going to the next level of me versus we. So this whole story of your relationships and redoing everything and, shifting things around and experimenting and clearing stuff out and upgrading and moving up octaves in your relationship space, in your relationship with yourself, this is all happening. Your home and family are going to get a big focus the days around January 13th with that full moon at 24 degrees of Cancer. And this can bring fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation from that space of your home, your housing, your family, ancestral information. And specifically for Virgo, this highlights your 11th house of Aquarius. And of course, we already talked about Aquarius because we have all of those energies in the sign of Aquarius. So this is a very, very Aquarius month for everyone, but there is also some additional energy there from this full moon. And this has to do with your social networks. You as a member of a group, you as part of something greater, you in, a futuristic focus, looking beyond the present time and into the creation of the unknown and the beyond. It's important to know for Virgos that is an ongoing thing that will continue to get deeper is that with the planet Uranus moving at a late degree, meaning it's getting closer to where it's going next, which is Gemini, it is getting very close and has been activating one of the major cusp points or polarities in your chart. Okay, so I'm going to show you what this looks like. In the YouTube version, I'll just describe it for podcast friends. There are 4 lines in a chart that have even more importance than other points in the chart. These are the big 4. It's the 1st house cusp, the 7th house cusp, the 4th house cusp, and the 10th house cusp. If you're looking at the chart physically, you can see the lines are actually darker between these houses, and they hold a lot of weight. So for some time now, this building of unpredictability, of surprises, of shakeups, of things related to Aquarius, because Uranus rules Aquarius, of things coming out of the blue, of unconventional, have been moving into your work sector and your parents. Some shakeups with your parents, some surprises, for better or worse, some shakeups to your home, because when Uranus is in near the 10th house, it opposes the 4th house cusp. So, we are on a planet of duality. And when we experience astrological transits, we can see the duality that's intrinsic in the human experience. Now, I do believe that we can transcend our dual experience while still being in form, and that's what the great teachers are teaching us how to do. But, there is still some semblance of trying to understand things within polarity. So your home versus work sector is in for a great shakeup, and that is going to continue building. But you will have noticed it likely already, because from the whole house perspective, this is affecting all Virgos. From the Placidus house perspective, you early degree friends, so basically August born or 0 to 10, 0 to 8, 9 degrees, you all have been having a lot of extra unpredictability in your home and work sector. Okay, so best thing to know about Uranus is to just be friends with the instability and try to view it as excitement and greet each new day with presence and seeing what exciting things may happen and just doing your best to roll with it and developing your spiritual strength. Okay, so in a material realm, everything is movable. Everything's moving. The earth is moving. The path that the earth is moving on is moving. The universe is moving. Everything is moving. All the cells in our body are moving. So the only thing that's immovable is spirit, the strings that tie everything together, and our connection to spirit. So one of the things that has really helped me when I was going through some very tough Uranus transits. I moved like 17 times in a very, in a shorter time than should be for 17 moves. We'll just put it that way. I started to really understand. Spirit was explaining this to me. Okay, find your stability in spirit, and that is your anchor, and that can help you guide through. But I just wanted to kind of speak to this because this is happening for Virgos, and the more you understand that, the more you can put this into context. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is Jupiter is in retrograde in Gemini, May 2024 to June 2025, moving through the sign of Gemini, expanding communication, prolific expression, relationships with people like your cousins and aunts and uncles, your extended family. And specifically for Virgos, this is expanding your work sector. If things were expanding in your work sector and then they just suddenly went dead a few months ago, it's because Jupiter went in retrograde. Don't worry, Jupiter's still working. And when it comes alive again next month, you'll start to see that a lot of the things that seem like they were gone forever will come back to surface again. I like to think about Jupiter as, really all outer planets do this in a way, but if you ever have seen a skyscraper being built, I grew up in New York City, so I watched this a lot. I didn't know astrology at that time, but I've come to understand it this way. The taller you want to build a skyscraper, the deeper you have to build your foundation, because those things are tall and they blow around, they move. And if you don't want them to fall, you have to have a strong foundation. So if you have been expanding and the universe senses that there's something that needs to be tweaked in your foundation for you to grow higher, skyscraper to build, then those things are getting tweaked while Jupiter's in retrograde. Okay, so don't stress if some things have gone quiet between Mars retrograde and Jupiter retrograde, and then of course the recent Mercury retrograde. You're building. Some things are working internally, some things are working behind the scenes, but get set for your work career, place out in the world, your public life, if you don't need employment, things involving your family, to move forward in a very big way here pretty soon. And you might start to get the hints of that here this month, but it will really become noticeable soon. Okay, so if you resonate with my work, like, subscribe, click the bell, and enable notifications to make sure you don't miss anything from me. I'm about to go on a more regular posting schedule, so you won't miss anything if you do all of those things. If you 8-degree Virgo, as I talked about, stay on and listen to the next report for Libra. And if you haven't run a free birth chart already, look for how to do that online. Then you can come back and watch your sun, your moon, your rising. And these layers are all pieces of your astrological picture. We are so much more than just our sun sign, and our viewpoint of the stars and our experience of the stars are so much more than just our solar view. So you can get, more layers into those dimensions if you are a deep dive seeker that way. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Libra friends. Okay, so we're going to do a deep dive now into the layers of the horoscope that are specific to Libra. If you haven't already listened to my intro report for all signs at the beginning of this report, please go back and do that, because I give dates and the framework of what this month is about that I will add to with this report. This is for you if Libra is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Libra placement you're listening for. what I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. If you're a very late degree Libra friend, so birthdays like October 15th through the rest of the sign, or Libra degrees like 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Scorpio report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. If you don't know your rising sign or your moon sign, you can just search online for how to run a free birth chart, and then you come back and listen to my reports with all those layers, because we are so much more than just our sun sign, and our view of the cosmos, our experience of the universal forces are so much broader and deeper than just the view from our sun sign. So you can enrich your astrological experience with just that simple step. Okay, so Libra friends, we're going to talk about short-term things, longer-term things, big deal things, passing things, about basically what this new year is stepping into for you, and what it's like to be a Libra this month. Okay, so we start out the month still with a little bit of Sag energy. Of course, this is great for you. This is adding to prolific expression, communication, interactions with other people. This story of taking in information and putting out information is super strong. Jupiter, even though it's in retrograde, is accentuating your ninth house of learning and teaching. And Mercury has just been in retrograde in your communications house, which means maybe you are going back to old creative projects, or maybe you were finishing up old unfinished business, or maybe you were going back and talking to people who you haven't talked to in a long time and getting some things worked out, getting refreshed, hopefully getting inspired. So we have a lot of retrograde energy, which can cut inspiration in many ways. But there is this ongoing story of expansion for Libras. And this is not only being told by Jupiter expanding in the house that it rules. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius, it rules the ninth house, and it loves to go big. So when you have a transit, as you do from May 2024 through June of 2025, of Jupiter expanding the place where it rules, that's only happening for Libra, okay? Because it's only going through the Libra ninth house. Then, this is a story of going big. Since the early 2023 time now into the first half of 2025, we have been in an Aries Libra eclipse cycle. We can see this on the chart through looking at the nodes. North node in Aries and its polarity south node in Libra. Where these transiting nodes are showing where the eclipses are occurring. So this, me versus we, this redefining of Libra versus other people, this becoming more autonomous while also going in deeper, this asking those important questions in your relationships, like, is the person I'm with all about them? Am I ever going to have any representation in this relationship? Or do I have more to give and share in my relationship space? Both of those polarities, those questions, how can you become more autonomous while at the same time, how can you, really show up more in your relationships? All of this is being brought up from this eclipse cycle. It's going to come back up again strongly now because the eclipses are coming March and April, but 4 to 6 and sometimes even 8 weeks before the first eclipse in the series, things start to get active. I liken it to a pot being on a stove, and in the middle of the eclipse times when they're not really that active, it's like the heat's been turned down. But now, the 8 weeks out kind of thing, the heat turns up and things start bubbling. The bubbles of manifestation start happening again. So themes that you've been seeing with me versus we since early 2023, you're going to have that come up again. You've got Lilith there, possibly repressed anger, old patterns. You've got Vesta there, home and family. Some of these relationships may be familial and you're having to work with that. A lot of long-term energy in Aries. Chiron, Aries, these are pretty sturdy, long transits. Hygeia is there as well for a shorter time. This is all helping you to redo your relationship with other people. Some of your relationships are super set and they bring you joy all the time, and some of them are in tumult. So you are healing the patterns as to why that's happening, and some of it may go back to childhood, and some of it may go even before then. A lot of times, we are really affected by what goes on for our mom while we're in the womb. And if you haven't talked to your mom about this and your mom is around, might be helpful to know what was going on at that time and see what kinds of patterns you have in your life now are exactly the same energies that she experienced when she was in your womb. Wow. That's like, right? But those are the kind of questions that you need to be asking now, or that you may naturally come to be asking now as a product of trying to lift your personal relationship with yourself up greater octaves and in going greater octaves higher in your relationship space. Something else notable that's happening is Neptune is teeter-tottering on Aries, which is going to oppose your energy. So this is dissolving your relationships. If there is some spiritual work to be done in your relationships, that it is happening. If you have relationships that are based on something other than solid spiritual connection, they may be dissolving away. You're starting to be, you're heralding a time for the next 15 years or so where this focus on spiritualizing your relationships is going to be very, very, very important for Libras. And that is happening now. It's only going to be getting stronger. All right. So all of that is happening. Now, the shorter term transits are telling us a story of Mercury going into Capricorn, the sun being there, Pallas Athena being there. Lots of focus on discipline, lots of focus on getting your crap together, doing your taxes, getting your finances in order, maybe even setting some, New Year's intentions or, whatever solutions or, there's a reason why I think energetically people want to set New Year's resolutions. And I think it's because of this earthy energy. This is a time when people really want to strategize. They really want to get their lives together, and you have a chance to do that. So you might want to get some things written down, get some things organized about anything in your life, about your business, your employment, about your father and mother figures, because this is the Capricorn rules the traditional father energy. Cancer, the fourth house it's moving through for Libra, is the traditional mother energy. So you've got home versus work. You've got, your inner world versus your outer world. You've got housing topics. And all of these are, possibly some real practical, down to earth discussions that you have to have about your living arrangements. And, some of this may come to a crazy head with the Pluto Mars opposition. So I talked about the Pluto Mars opposition at length as it relates to the ways that you can see it be actually even dangerous, combustive, blowing stuff up in your life, just like relationships being torn asunder or other things like that. But it's coming back again. And even though it's technically in Aquarius and Leo, which is now in this 5th house and 11th house for Libras, it's still right on the edge here of home versus work. So home and family, housing, father figures, your authorities in your life, law enforcement, all of this is building this story. So the end of December, the beginning of January, 10 days at the end of December, 10 days into the beginning of January, we're going to have this energy again. You can think back to November, beginning of November, because this is the second pass, because Mars is in retrograde. So it happened when Mars moved forward. Now it's moving backwards. And then at the end of April, it will happen again. So there's something going on in your life that is building, and it's going to come to a head now, and it could get quite actually dangerous. So be very careful, but it could also crack you out of a pattern. And it's like a time of reckoning of a circumstance that you're in. And it can very much have to do with a romantic partner, a living circumstance with a romantic partner. It can have to do with friendships and friendship groups, social media. This is not a time to post something controversial on social media, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that in my other things before, but because this is, the Aquarian energy through the sign of Pluto, and then the Aquarius energy through the 11th house that the Mars is moving through for Libra, is very much about a personal battle becoming known publicly. And, this could be a problem. So it's not a good way to take your anger out to try to blast someone on social media. I think in general, that's good advice, but especially not this time, because with Mars being in retrograde, this boomerang effect of things coming back to you can be very profound. All right. So just be extra careful around those times. A lot of stuff to celebrate this month, but that's just kind of a tough, rough spot. And it's very personal. It's very personal in your home, your family, your romance, your children, things coming to a head involving child or children in your life, information about that. This may be a time to delve in deeper. If you're looking to resolve some mystery involving something with your children, paternity topics, anything having to do with something going on for one of your children that you haven't been able to resolve yet. All of these may get a deeper stage of resolution or the next stage at this point. So we've got all that nice earthy Capricorn energy. That Capricorn energy does square Libra. So there are some pressure points at home. Basically that's what's happening this month. You're starting out the year with a chance to crack out of a whole bunch of different matrices or matrices that you have been bound in. So we can welcome some of this, powerful energy. Even I'm not telling it to you to be something to fear. It's something to be aware of so that you can navigate around the dangers. But, sometimes it takes something as powerful as this to crack us out of something or wake us up to something. If you've been in a relationship and you have red flags in the relationship, this may be a time where you really see things for how they are, because there's a very strong focus on your romantic life at this time. You may notice that in recent times, even in the last couple of years, but getting very strong recently, that fated relationships or karmic relationships romantically are coming in because Pluto is now in that house for you. The sun will be there. Moon is there at the beginning of the month. Will be there at the end of the month, January 29th. We've got that new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius, also Chinese New Year. Venus is in Aquarius at the beginning of the month. So all of this energy into unconventional situations in your romantic sector, and all of this energy making trines with your Libra placement. These are fellow air signs. So a lot of energy. I like to call them kisses, just helping you to further define who you are, who you want to be, and looking at who you were just a second ago and in the further past, and seeing what you want to develop into, and seeing if the people around you and the romantic situation around you is bringing out your best or bringing out your worst. So those are the types of real questions that may come up now. Something else important is that Venus is here, so it's adding more energy around love and romance and romantic topics. Also, it can bring money. So you could just straight up earn money because of your creativity. And that could be amazing. Venus will then move into Pisces. It will join long-term Saturn and long-term Neptune there in your 6th house of health and your daily routine. This could bring your attention to health habits that you need to resolve. It could have to do with something with alcohol or substances. Pisces energy, also on its lower vibration, will rule substance abuse or addictions. And if you've been struggling with these things, having this boost to Venus here, and also having Venus impending its retrograde cycle, which will partly feature this house, may help to give you some support. Okay, so then you might need to invest some money into getting better if that's what's going on. Or if that's not your story, maybe it's just that you're spiritualizing your daily experience. You're creating an altar, you're praying and meditating more, you're bringing the energy of your spiritual beliefs more into your daily practice. That's another way this energy can manifest. But what I was going to say about Venus is that it's going to get into Pisces very early into the month and possibly bring you more income, bring you a raise, bring you some extra money, bring you some more contract work, bring you more business. And then it will go into Aries. But as I mentioned in the earlier intro, Venus will start its pre-shadow period at the end of this month. So now we're starting to get into a longer term story of Venus rather than it just blowing through a house as it usually tends to do very quickly. Now, whatever storylines it's bringing are going to be here for a while. So Venus will move through Pisces, will go through Aries, it will go retrograde in Aries, then it will go back into Pisces and be retrograde here. So whatever goes on over the next few weeks with Venus in the 6th house, maybe telling a story about a multiple month, something that's going on there. Okay, so late degree friends, stay on for the Scorpio. If you're September 15th through the rest of the sign, or Libra degree 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, stay on to listen to the next report, which is Scorpio. And if you have not looked up your birth chart, how to run a free birth chart online, you can do that now. You can find out your moon and rising if you don't know. And you can come back and you can watch the reports for those and know that you're getting a deeper perspective. Definitely click subscribe, click the bell to let YouTube know that you want me to be in your feed. Enable notifications so you don't miss anything from me. I'm going to be posting more frequently in the times to come, possibly even weekly. So if you do all those things, it will help you to not miss anything. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be, giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Scorpio friends. Okay, so we're going to do our deep dive now into the Scorpio report. If you haven't already listened to the intro, make sure to go back to do that, because it lays a foundation for what we're going to discuss here, many of which those things I'm not going to repeat. This is for you if Scorpio is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Scorpio placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. If you're a very late degree Scorpio friend, so birthdays like November 15th through the rest of the sign, or Scorpio degrees 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, I suggest you stay on after this report to listen to the Sagittarius report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. If you don't know your moon sign and your rising sign and you want to know it, you can search online for how to run a free birth chart, put your birth info in, and you will need the correct time or close to a correct time in order to get your rising sign. But if you have that information, you can come back and also listen to your rising sign report and your moon report, as those will be additional layers to help you understand the breadth and the depth of the astrological experience for you personally. Okay, so we have a brand new year. We have a year that feels somewhat like a new year after doing a lot of retrograde stuff and deep dive clearing out in the latter part of the year. And Mercury, as of January 3rd, being full steam ahead. That's going to make it feel like a new year just on its own, coming out of that retrograde web. Clarity, ability to make plans, the confusion, the difficulty with scheduling, all of that will start to shift. Now, right at the beginning of the month, towards the end of December and the beginning of January, remember we have that big clash. I'm not going to talk about the same things that I talked about with this clash in the intro, but I want to talk about some things personal specifically to Scorpio, because the placement for this clash is really, really big for Scorpio. Okay. If you're looking at the chart in the YouTube view, I'll show you what this looks like. For those of you who are listening, I'll describe this. The wheel is a circle, and it's like it can be like a clock. Okay, and in the 9 o'clock position, there's a line from the 9 o'clock position across to the 3 o'clock position. That's the ascendant descendant line. If you're looking at the chart visually, you'll see that those lines are darker than the other lines between the houses. Okay, then if you look at the 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock line, up and down, you see there's another dark line on the 3rd to 4th house cusp, and then the 9th to 10th house cusp. Okay. Those lines in the chart are the big four. When things happen at those points in the chart, you will notice, and Scorpio has been going through this, okay, in the recent couple of years. Many Scorpio placements will have experienced birth, death, transformation, rebirth, literally and figuratively. Home has been affected from this Pluto transit, and now this is getting enlivened again by this Pluto Mars opposition. So there's something in your life, there's someone in your life, there's a storyline in your life having to do with home versus work, Maybe the same thing, could be family business, could be your work-life balance or lack thereof. Something is brewing. There were notable things that have happened in the past. They've been building. You had another big point of conflict here, beginning of November, when this aspect happened before. It will happen now, and it will happen again at the end of April. So there's something going on. It's a clash with authority. It's power struggles. It's, tensions running high. It's trying to deal with things having to do with home and work, or your place in your inner world and your place in your outer world, etc. That's not the only thing going on this month, but it is such an important thing in general and specifically for Scorpios because of where it's placed. Now, in the whole house chart, this is on this position for all Scorpio placements. Okay, so nobody's getting out of the fact that this is a very big deal, especially for Scorpios. Now, if you're an early degree friend, so basically like October born friend, maybe early November, you will get a double time experience of this, because not only is it in your whole house chart in this position, it's also in your Placidus chart in this position. Okay, so, that's a big deal. Those of you who are November born Scorpios, you have one layer of the chart that's a little bit more distant from this whole thing going on, okay? Because you haven't had Pluto come to this position yet. And this opposition is not happening on this line in your Placidus chart. So that can take a sting out of it a little bit for you. But you early friends, you're really getting a double whammy here. Good news about that is that the thing that has been brewing for you has been keeping you out of peace, has been binding you up, has been limiting you, has been making you mad as hell. And now you're going to get to clear some of that out. It's like a pressure, this aspect is like a pressure release valve. And it's having 3 big releases. So this is the second of the 3 big releases, and more steam is going to come out, which can relieve some of the pressure for you. All right, so just kind of be aware of that. Not going to talk that much more about it, but do be safe, do make good choices, and do remember that any warlike behavior you exert to anybody in any way will very likely boomerang back to you because of the Mars retrograde. So try to be productive with the anger and clear it out before you have discussions or take actions. Okay, so what else do we have to talk about? A lot more. Recent months, November through now the beginning of January, you've had a strong focus of Sagittarius placements, all highlighting your money sector. You've been very focused on money earned income in recent months. That is continuing into this month. We still have a little bit more of Mercury being there. And then as Mercury gets into Capricorn, joining the sun, joining Pallas Athena, there is this strong focus on employment, your place out in the world, your public life, your relationship as a father or with father figures or as a parent. And it really moves into this story of responsibility. Okay, so questions of responsibility are being brought up, not only from this clash of Pluto and Mars, but also from this movement into Capricorn. This is a time to get serious and disciplined. It's a time to get a plan, get a strategy for the new year and beyond. And it also has to be communicated. So the fact that Capricorn energy lights up the 3rd house of Gemini, communication, for Scorpio, means that when these planets move through Capricorn, it's not only a time for you to strategize, it's a time for you to communicate about that strategy. Meaning it's not just personal. It's not just you sit down and you get your own strategy together, which is fine. You can do that. But there's some element of having to communicate this with other people that is super critical at this time. And we have this added to by the story of Gemini in the 8th house. Since earlier, well, let's see, May 2024, we'll go to June 2025, you've had to have a much higher level of communication with certain people in your life, possibly Gemini related, cousins, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, other relatives. And this is continuing. Okay, so communicating, see, Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini rules the 3rd house, which is where the Capricorn planets are. Okay, so there's this story of going back to communicate things, Jupiter being in retrograde, Mars being in retrograde, back to communicate things with these people in your life to get things super clear. All right, aunts, uncles, all of that. Everybody, there's something going on there. Now, throughout the whole month and getting stronger as the month goes on, we have Aquarius energy. Moon is there at the beginning. Then we have the new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius on January 9th. It's also Chinese New Year, a very auspicious time for new beginnings. We've got Venus there in the beginning of the month, just for very briefly. The Sun will get there, and Mercury will get there at the end of the month. Pluto, of course, is there, new, and Ceres is there. So Capricorn is asking you to look to tradition and to keep a skeleton of a structure as you expand into the new. And Aquarius is asking you to find out-of-the-box solutions, unconventional ways to deal with this home/work clash. You're very likely entering into or have been into or have a tendency to have unconventional home and family circumstances. And all of this is being accentuated now. It also happens that all of these Aquarius energies square Scorpio. So this is a pressure time, and you're feeling the pressure from this aspect that we talked about and from these aspects now. If you're a Scorpio that's been overburdened, you might look at this and say, oh crap, I really do not want to be pressured anymore. It's too much. And I feel you. I completely understand. I do feel like these pressures can turn out to be purposeful. And if we can reframe them that way, like how can I have these pressures have purpose? You can even ask yourself that. You can ask the universe that. Please help me to have these pressures be purposeful. You know, because pressure without purpose is just a waste. But pressure with purpose can create the life that you want and can help you to get through the limiting factors that are interfering with you having your best life. And that's why I use astrology, is to help you have your best life. So this is a time where you can be cracked out of things that were comfortable. If you've gotten emotionally comfortable, if you've gotten physically comfortable in certain circumstances, you know, now is a time where you're getting to be cracked out of some of that comfort to open you up into expansion, into the unknown. So I know you're looking for some good news here, and I can give that to you too, which I'm really happy about. We've got a lot of conflict here. We've got a lot of chance for breaking free, but one of the shining stars that's happening in the long term and accentuated extra in the short term is this series of water planets that are trining your Scorpio placement. Okay, so in the long term, Saturn is here, so giving you from 2023 to 2026 this chance to really manifest your creative, romantic, and children-based dreams. If you want to have a family, if you have a family, if you're trying to build, if you have creative projects that you want to come to life, if you have, you know, if you're trying to develop a romantic situation that is fulfilling for you, Saturn in a long-term way is helping you to build that brick by brick. Neptune may seem like it's going against it in some ways, being dissolving, but it's spiritualizing it. It's spiritualizing your relationship to children. It's spiritualizing your relationship to romance. It's spiritualizing, you know, your relationship to creativity. And now Venus jumps in there in Pisces, and Venus rules money and love. So you are stepping into a time where you may have a boost to romance, a boost to fun with children or your creative babies, a chance to earn money from your creative projects, monetize them. And this would normally be a pretty quick transit. But once Venus goes past Pisces and goes into Aries, it gets up to 10 degrees. Then it will go retrograde. See, so I was talking about before, at the end of this month, we start the pre-shadow retrograde for Venus. And it will be retrograde in Aries and Pisces. So the place where it's moving now, it will come back here. So if you are a Scorpio that really, you know, really wants to manifest creative efforts, this can be one of your best friends. And it's going to come back. So it's happening, and it will come back, and then it will keep happening as it moves direct again. So that's a wonderful blessing. It's good news. It's a shining light. It might be the thing that gets you through the other challenges. If you have a hobby or have a creative effort or have a family or, you know, have a romantic partner that, you know, that you're happy about, then these areas can be your saving graces during the other conflicts, you know, that can buoy you through. Okay, so I'm just going to say a word about, let's see, two more things. The full moon on January 13th at Cancer at 24 degrees, fellow water sign, is going to light up your place of adventure, of upliftment, of optimism, of teaching, of learning. And everyone can get the goodies from that. And all Scorpios get extra goodies because this is a water trine. Those of you in the late degree spectrum, so birthdays like November 12th through the rest of the sign, and the closer to around November 17th, 18th, 19th, the more you may get a kiss from this or have a noticeable kiss from this. But if you're not in that spectrum, you're not being left out because it's fully utilizable for everybody. So this can, give you a creative solution. This can give you hope. And sometimes hope is the best medicine, right? If you can tap into that. And it can also, see, it's going to tie in here to trine Neptune. That full moon is trining Neptune. So it's going to kick back over some beautiful vibes to your romantic sector, to your children's sector, to your creative babies, to your hobbies, to your bucket list, as I like to call it. So there may be something magical that happens at that time that can enliven this space in a grand trine formation, which is the sacred geometrical epitome of awesomeness. Okay, so YouTube friends, if you are, subscribe, click the bell, and enable notifications. All of those steps, for whatever reason, are necessary to make sure you don't miss anything from me. And if you're a late degree Scorpio friend, so birthdays like November 15th through the rest of the sign, 23 degrees to the rest of the sign, stay on and listen to the next report for Sagittarius. For the rest of you, watch for your moon sign, your sun sign, your rising sign if you know it. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Sagittarius friends. Welcome to the segment that is just for you, Sag Moon, Sag Sun, Sag Rising, whatever you're listening or watching for. And if you haven't already listened to the intro, make sure to do that, because that's the foundation on which I'm going to build the things we're going to discuss here. For a very late degree Sagittarius friend, so birthdays like December 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Sag placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you stay on and listen to the report that comes after this, the Capricorn report, because your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. If you don't know your moon and rising sign, you can do a quick search online for how to run a free birth chart. And if you have your birth info, you can find out what your moon and rising are, and then you can watch the segments for those too, to enrich your astrological experience, because we're so much more than just our sun sign. Okay, so I'm a fellow Saggy with you. I have a ton of energy in Sag. Everything I read for you is for me too. So that's exciting. So let's talk about what has been, what is going on, and what will be. All right, so we're coming out of a time from November into the beginning of January that has been strongly focused on Sagittarius. Our lingering holdout here with this storyline is Mercury, still moving through Sagittarius after having been retrograde. And this placement here, as of January 3rd, with Mercury finally getting out of the post-shadow period and being completely clear, back up to speed, still in our sign, is one of the best indicators of a feeling of a new year. It's a little bit sleepy because we've got Jupiter in retrograde, that's our ruler. We've got Mars in retrograde. Mars rules fellow fire sign Aries and is moving through fellow fire sign Leo, and we'll go back into Cancer. That's another story. But we do have this sort of a sleepy feel to the new year, but because of this retrograde being wrapped up, there is a boost. There is some oomph. There is some clarity. We do still have some Sagittarius sparkle, and that does feel very good as a really great way to start out the year. So we've been going through a time of redefinition Saggies, with all of this energy in Sagittarius, it's been rolling through our first house of our physical body, and with Mars in retrograde, which Mars rules the first house. So there's this focus on asking, how are we using our energy? How can we use it better? How can we use it most efficiently? What does our body need? How is your body communicating with you? And what is your body asking for? Okay. In many cases, your body may be asking for you to love your liver. This is a theme that I always like to bring up for Saggies. Sagittarius rules the hips and thighs. It also rules the liver. And I have seen many Saggies benefit from paying attention to what makes a liver happy. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just letting you know that your vitality can be directly affected by your digestive system and the cascade between your pancreas and your gallbladder and your liver. And we don't learn about this stuff in school. So you might not know that your happiness can actually be somewhat dependent on how happy your liver is, because in Chinese medicine, the liver rules anger, and the gallbladder rules resentment, and the pancreas rules the sweetness of life. And with that triad of transformation, being happy or not happy can actually affect how you feel. It can affect how you act. It can affect your relationships. And all of these are questions and topics that you are invited to discuss with yourself and the universe at this time. So if you are needing to be more vital, maybe there are some answers by understanding more about these systems and how well they're functioning, or signs of them not functioning as well. And sometimes just basic blood work can show you these things, but sometimes it doesn't. A sludgy gallbladder might not show up on blood work. It might be perfectly normal. Okay, so these are things the universe invites you to look into as part of your reinvention of yourself, as part of your, stepping out in a way that you can have much more joy and happiness. And that also makes it easier for you to set boundaries. We're very much in a curve of expansion for our relationships. May 2024 through June 2025, Jupiter, our ruler, is moving through the 7th house of relationships and the sign of Gemini, our opposite counterpart, with having to do with communication and sharing and information and expression and learning and teaching. And now, since Jupiter has been in retrograde for a few months, we may feel certain things slowing down. Our ambitions are, maybe have been scaled back in a major way because of Mars making us lazy and unambitious and our ruler going backwards. So if you've been uninspired and feeling not yourself, this could be why. But what Jupiter's seeking to do in the retrograde is to help us build the foundation for our future relationship and prolific expression skyscraper as deeply as it needs to be for as high as we want to grow. Okay, so what did I just say? Okay, so I grew up in New York City and I watched them build skyscrapers, and we would look at the holes in the ground and marvel, whoa, what are they doing down there? Well, I came to learn that the higher the skyscraper, the deeper you have to build your foundation to support the growth of the height and the weight of that skyscraper. So the universe is setting you up for this epic time of building skyscrapers, strong, sturdy, beautiful skyscrapers in your relationship sector, in your education, learning, prolific expression, communication sectors. And the retrograde time is this beautiful time where all the people come out and they do their checks underground. They say, hey, everything all right down there? We doing all we need to grow as tall as we want to? Nope, got to fix that. And everybody comes around and they do their digging, or they do whatever the heck goes on over there. And they're making sure that for as high as you want to rise, that is as deep as you need to go. And some of that depth needs to be with inner work. Some of that depth needs to be with painstakingly going through and working with the people who you're in relationship with to fix the foundations that may have been faulty. And so this is a very much me versus we type of energy. This theme of me versus we has been very prominent for the last couple of years because of the Aries Libra eclipse cycle that is continuing. And we are entering eclipse season again. So March and April, we are returning to the heat of eclipse season, but now in the second half of January, the heat of the pot, of the bubbling manifestation of the eclipses is starting to get turned up. So you might start to see me versus we, your individual creativity versus your place within the group. These themes start to come up again for their last chapter in these 2 years from 2023, the first half of 2025. There is some sort of conclusion that is going on with your independence versus your bonding with others, your individual gifts versus you being part of a community. There's a story happening here, and all of these beautiful layers are building up to this triumphant expansion, release, and octave raising in these arenas in your life. At the same time as that's happening, we have this very long Mars retrograde bopping through Cancer from September, going into Leo, now coming back into Cancer with home and family. So home and family is being accentuated through multiple lines of energy, long and short term at this time. Mars is going to move back through here, and it's going to help you heal resentments. It has been happening since September, really healing the resentments underneath your family, family constructs. This is you with the mortgage company, you with the government, you with your family, you with your spouse. And between this Mars energy, which rules the first house, which also rules anger, there are some things that you're mad about, and you have to fix those things. My Saggy friends, I promise that on the other side of dealing with that kind of stuff, you will be a much happier, healthier person. Many Sagittarius get serious illnesses, autoimmune diseases, cancers, all kinds of things, because they think that everything is okay because they are looking at the right side. This is a beautiful trait that I appreciate in myself and in my Sag friends. Fortunately, I have a lot of Capricorn to help balance this out. The realist versus the idealist is my thing here. But when you smile things away, they get buried and repressed somewhere. And Mars retrograde is this beautiful time where everything can come out. Now, at the beginning of the month, this Pluto-Mars clash is highlighting relatives of every kind, teaching and learning also, because it's on the edge here in this 3rd and 9th house. It's on the edge of this 2nd and 8th house, which is your finances and other people's finances. And there's money stuff, and there's, sustenance, and there's security, and there's a clash with an authority figure who is holding out from something that you want or need. And it's probably going to be ugly, but it will pass. And the more you can get through that time with making sure that your repressed energy comes out, but not necessarily at the person who you're feeling it towards, the happier you will be. If you are a seeking Sag, somebody who's seeking to make your life the best possible, and you're into inner work, then this would be a time to find EMDR, find EFT, find NLP, find any other trauma clearing therapy, and find CBT. You can look up all these acronyms to help you not be as mad about the things that people did to you or didn't do that they were supposed to do. And the more you work with this, I promise that your life will start to unlock and your health has a chance to open up. And, on the other side of inner work, especially in a Mars retrograde, especially going through the deep 8th house of this deep psychology and these deep intimate relationships with people, Saggies, you've been hurt and you're mad, whether you realize it or not. And this is a time where it can come out. Now, it may come out from this transit. You can actively, consciously work on it coming out, but this is what's happening. Now, this is a chance, like I said, for you to use your energy more wisely. So think about the ways that you've done things and see how productive they are. And then do the things that have been productive, and the things that haven't, do different ways. It's pretty easy, right? While we're on the topic of money and on your stuff versus other people's stuff, Mercury, the Sun, and Pallas Athena are all moving through Capricorn. That means this is a supreme time to do your taxes. Saggy friends, we are prone to distraction. You're not going to have a time like this with nice, earthy, grounded energy for a while. So if you have to do something tedious, bookkeeping, planning, strategy, money, budgeting, tax preparation, etc., you're not going to have as much chance to be diligent with this as you will now. Okay, so try to use this energy because you'll be so relieved that you got it over with, and it will be much easier for you to do it at this time. And all of this lights up your second house of money. So you may just actually have money news. You may have money come in. You may get a good strategy for your finances. And it is a time for all of that. So from the beginning of the month, we've got Ceres, the moon, Venus, Pluto, recently Pluto. And then the moon will come back again on the 29th of January at 10 degrees, new moon Aquarius, also Chinese New Year, auspicious time for new beginnings as well. So all of this Aquarius energy is bringing unconventional ideas, new ways of looking at things, community opportunities, neighborhood. Your neighborhood is being so strongly aspected at this time because the third house is very neighborhoody. And all of this Aquarius energy is very social and has to do with groups and communities. So you have neighborhoody, community, group types of stuff lighting up your neighborhood, basically. So you might become very involved with your neighbors. You might become, just have something to do with people, like be involved with more local groups. And that can be very fulfilling for you. And you may even be able to earn some money there. Venus is there for a little while longer. And on the new moon, you can do your wishes on any of those topics. You have a dispute with your neighbor. Pluto could be bringing that in now. If you have, sibling or other relative issues that you want to set wishes and intentions to resolve, all of those are great in those days around the 29th. All right, so then Venus will move into Pisces, join long-term Saturn and Neptune there. All of this will accentuate your fourth house of home and family. Those points will be very, very, very notable. These will square your Sagittarius placements, and they will bring pressure to your home and housing and family. Housing pressure and home and family pressure does not always have to be bad. Okay? A lot of times it is. We'll just call it that, right? A lot of times there's family stress and pressure and there's stuff you got to deal with. But that's not the only way that this can manifest. This can also manifest through pressure to build, pressure to do something with your home or housing and situation or your family situation to improve your life and improve the life of your family. And sometimes pressure is like a deadline or an opportunity or a big clean out or a big organization of, the house or something like that. So there's pressure being put on fine tuning your home and family space. And that could turn out for better or worse. But, you will feel the pressure, but you do have this slow build and this spiritualization process that's happening. And Venus here can bring money in real estate and money from home-based ventures. Very important to know that Venus in your fourth and fifth house is going to be a longer term story than usual, because after Venus goes through the fourth house, bringing its nurturance and love, and, it could be a very, very, very just nice family time, really. I mean, the fact that it's squaring does not have to mean something bad. Venus moving through here can mean you finish a family project together or you work together to accomplish something together as a family. It's just like that pressure to do something. It doesn't have to be a conflict. But since Venus is going into retrograde and the pre-shadow period starts, or the pre-transit retrograde starts at the end of January, Pisces is going to be a common theme because it will move into Aries and then it'll go retrograde in Aries and go back into Pisces. So whatever is going on there, there's going to be extra of it. You may be asking the questions, how can you be more creative at home? This is Pisces energy. This is creativity. This is art. How can you have a more spiritual or mystical or tranquil setting, peaceful setting in your home? What can you do to build more peace? And really, this Saturn is trying to help you build more peace in your home and family. And Neptune is trying to help you to spiritually clear out the karma that's interfering with you doing that. And now Venus can help maybe refresh with some design, with some, things like that. I'm not going to go deep into Venus retrograde right now because I have a lot of resources on that. And I'll talk about it more when it's actually retrograde. But if you do have design projects, it's better to do them before the retrograde. So January, would be better to do design projects than the actual retrograde themselves, unless they are low stakes, inexpensive, and easy to change. Okay, simple things like new pillows, new sheets, some accent things, painting a wall, that's fine. But like the bigger design things or the more expensive, harder to change or harder to fix things, you may want to get those done in January before the retrograde. Resonate with my work, please click like, subscribe, and click the bell to ensure that I go into your feed. And if you enable notifications, you will definitely get all of the things that I post. I'm going into a time where I may be posting things like once a week. So if you do all those things, it will help you to not miss anything from me. Also, joining my free VIP community can help you to not miss anything from me. Remember to figure out how to run a free birth chart. Just search for that online and then come back and watch for your sun, your moon, and your rising. Late degree Sagittarius friends, birthdays like December 15th to the rest of the sign, or 23 degrees to the rest of the sign. You hang on and continue listening for Capricorn, because that will also be relevant for you. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be, giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube, and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoints on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Capricorn friends. Now we're going to drill down into the Capricorn specific horoscope with the foundation that I gave you in the intro as our nice bottom layer that I'm going to add to. This is for you if Capricorn is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Cap placement you're listening for. This segment is going to be part of your astrological picture. If you're a very late degree Cap friend, so birthdays around January 15th through the rest of the sign, or Cap degrees 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, stay on for the next segment for Aquarius, because your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. And if you don't know your moon and rising sign, you can just do a search online for how to run a free birth chart. And if you have your birth info, you can put it in and find out your moon and rising. And then you can come back and you can go into more layers of your astrological story that's personalized. Okay, so this period of time between December into January, this is this beautiful story of this journey, this exploration of your unconscious mind, that dreamy landscape of all that is, of the cosmic consciousness that arises from within you, that is reflected all around you. And we do have a little bit more time of Mercury here, giving you that invitation for that deep dive into your psyche. What are your hidden agendas? What are your hidden talents? What are your hidden fears? What are your obvious fears? What are your deepest desires? How do you feel connected to others, to humanity, to ecosystems, to your family, to the ethereal realms? All of these are invitations at this time. And also, it's a question of optimization of your subconscious mind and your unconscious mind as being the power horse of manifestation. How do you activate that sleeping giant within? And this is a beautiful prelude to what comes afterwards. This line that is between the 12th house and the first house. This is the line of individuation, the place where from the cosmic soup we spring as individuals. And as we go through the wheel of the 12 houses and the 12 signs, we culminate into this point in the 12th house, which is what happens in the time before your birthday, or before the sun moves over the point in your chart that you're watching for. So the sun crosses over your moon, or the sun crosses over your rising. This time in the Capricorn story is of you going deep to be able to optimize your creation powers, so that as these assertive first house energies manifest, that you can move forward more confidently, more consciously, and more focused on what it is that you want to create. Sometimes what happens in the weeks before your birthday, or the weeks before the point that the sun crosses over whatever cat placement you're listening for, sometimes you get to see quite a bit of the things that you don't want. And these sometimes do not feel like gifts, but because you don't want them. But the gift is in being sure about what you don't want to help you manifest your wishes, your new moon wishes, your birthday wishes, your new moon intentions, your birthday or intentions from the sun crossing over whatever your cat point is. You can utilize the power of those periods to really, really get honed in on what you want to create. And this is especially poignant at this time because since Mercury has been through its retrograde process, it's taken us back. Not only was it moving through the 12th house, giving you these questions, giving you this invitation, it also went retrograde, making you ask doubly sure, well, what about this? And go deeper into this and go deeper into the past. And so that gives you more oomph for moving forward now. So as of January 3rd, Mercury has regained full steam. It will join the Sun and Pallas Athena in the sign of Capricorn. Those of you who haven't had your birthdays yet, you'll have your birthdays. If you've, had your birthday already, happy birthday to you and to everyone who's about to have them. Or the sun will cross over your cat point, and this will be your point of reinvention, of, re-engagement with the external output from the all that is within you. So this is, a very powerful time of really just getting clear on what it is that you want to create. Now, all of this is happening within the web of Mars retrograde. We do still have, Jupiter retrograde. Both of these planets retrograde can interfere with your ambitions and your inspiration, but it can help you to focus on some places where you've been ignoring that really need the attention. And right now, with the Capricorn energy, the focus comes to things that are practical, things that have to be done, things that require discipline, things that are involved with business or employment, anything that has to do with father figures or you as an authority figure or parental figures, authority figures in general. And the most important thing is it's a time of redefinition with the things that you've gone through for the last month, for the last year, of what you want to take forward with you and what you want to leave behind. So this discernment process is what's going on now. Now, Cappies since 2008 have been getting put through the ringer. So I am a Cappy with you, not from the sun sign, but my moon is in Cap, my Venus is in Cap, my midheaven is in Cap. And from 2008, we've been like, what? Right? Pluto going through our sign, just blowing everything up. Birth, death, transformation, rebirth. I mean, I know that my life has been profoundly affected by births and deaths and transformation and rebirths. And I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, can say, yes, I'm with you. So now, as of actually the day that I'm recording this, I record these early. So November 20th, we're done. We're done with Pluto and Capricorn. So, this is another time of karmic clearing for us that really is just a really, really great relief, because Pluto moving through our sign, which rules responsibility, has really been a beast. And now Pluto is moving for the next 20 years through our finances. It already was affecting our finances because Capricorn rules these, structures, these business structures and these systems. So now we have a deeper layer of this, but at least it's not in the sign that we have our placements, unless you have Aquarius placements, because then you will have it hit at some point. The later degree placements, it will be maybe 20 years from now before that happens. But, either way, Pluto is telling us grow or die in our money sector. Now, a lot of times this grow or die is actually figurative, but for some people, growing their finances is actually a matter of survival. But whatever the impetus, this is your Plutonian personal atomic generator of energy is going to help you completely redo your personal way with money. So that's the long-term story, and we'll be talking about this for 20 years, but I want to talk more about the shorter-term story, which is Venus is there, the moon is there on January 29th. It will be back in the moon will be back in Aquarius. That will be the new moon at 10 degrees of Aquarius. So a new moon in our money sector, Venus in our money sector, Ceres in our money sector, the sun will get there. And this is a lot of energy. The sun is elucidating. Venus is bringing blessings and possibly financial boosts. The moon is bringing our emotional focus. Ceres is a ruler of the second house. And Ceres, that shape that looks like a question mark, it's actually the thing that's used to cut wheat. So it's all about the harvest and it's all about the sustenance. So this month, you're asking the questions, what gives you sustenance? And how can you have more of that? Bigger question is, how can you do this creation of sustenance in unconventional ways while still holding to the tradition and the discipline and the structures that Capricorn is? You know, Capricorn is the bringer of form. It rules the skeleton in the body. If we didn't have a skeleton, we would be a loose sack of fluids and flesh piled on the floor. So a lot of people resist Saturn. They really just do not want to have discipline. They don't want to have sternness or authority or rules or laws. And, you know, I think Capricorns understand this a little bit differently because we really know instinctively that without a skeleton, there's no life and there's no movement. So the idea here is to keep a firm, healthy skeleton on which you can step into new, fresh ideas, innovation, dive deeper into your communities and your groups, and see how engaging with these people in these groups can fuel your sustenance and possibly even help you fuel their sustenance. So, you know, it's very sustenance-based time for Cappies, and it's very much back to basics. You know, are you making more money than you spend, or are you spending more money than you make? Questions about, you know, your earnings and your debt and your budget and your value as a worker and your gifts. All of those things are coming up for you to evaluate, and Pallas Athena is going to, in Capricorn, is going to be helping you have some strategy around that. Bare minimum, you can have some financial boosts, you know, and at the maximum, you can be letting Pluto start to completely redo your financial consciousness to lift you octaves beyond your current financial experience. So we got a pretty wide spectrum of manifestation there. Okay, so what else is going on? Venus is going to move from Aquarius into Pisces. It will join long-term transit Saturn and Neptune there to accentuate our third house of communication, Gemini-ruled third house. Adding to this story of expansion of our communication is Jupiter moving through the sign of Gemini. That's from May 2024 to June 2025. So there's a long-term story of the expansion of our communication. There's a short-term story of the monetization of our communication. And there is a long-term story of the spiritualizing of our communication. And there's a long-term story of the structure and the discipline of our communication. So the more effective we can be with how we communicate, that's the topic that wants to come up for the long term from Saturn. And in the short term, we may just make some money through our communication efforts, which is fun. Or we may be involved with siblings or aunts or uncles or other family members, with Venus, you know, bringing money involving something for them. Now, something interesting to note before we leave the Venus topic. Venus, I always think of as my grandma Marge, one of my Italian relatives, I always like to give a nice visual of Grandma Marge. For whatever reason, she always seemed shorter than me. I understand now that a lot of my Italian relatives were like 4'10", which is maybe why even as a child I was taller than most of them. But she would always grab, like, be reaching up to my face, like I was taller than her even as a kid. And she would kiss me on the face and give me a meatball and give me some money and tell me how great I was and take me into her comfy house. So think about Venus, or think about my grandma Marge whenever you think about Venus. So my grandma Marge is moving through your house of communication and relatives. So sustenance, you know, compliments, acknowledgement, food, nurturance, coming through through our taking the time to communicate with other people. So a lot of the answers and things that we need are going to come through taking that time to connect with other people and taking time to make them feel heard and for us to be heard. Something else important about Venus, my grandma Marge doing this whole thing, is that once Venus moves from Pisces, it will get through 10 degrees of Aries into our fourth house of home and family. And then it will retrograde back into Pisces. So the pre-shadow retrograde transit starts at the end of January for Venus. We'll go into this more as we get deeper into it and as we get to the retrograde. But what we need to know for now is that Venus in Pisces and Venus in our third house is not going to be as short-term a thing as it tends to be. It's going to be a long-term thing because, of this retrograde. And so we're really, really, really thinking about how we can add art, Pisces, to our communication, how we can add grace and forgiveness to our communication, how we can add spirituality and really just connection with the divine and tolerance and understanding to our communication, and how we can extend that to our home and family. That's going to be the storyline of the months to come. So Jupiter is moving through our sixth house of health, hopefully improving the health of many Cappies. And now that it's in retrograde, either you may feel like you've lost its blessings, or things are starting to finally gel, or progress that was being made might feel like it's slowing down. But either way, Jupiter is trying to build the very strong skyscraper of your vibrant health. And right now it's in retrograde, checking the under the ground part for its future ascension. Okay, so when they build a skyscraper, the higher the skyscraper is going to go, the deeper they have to dig for the counterbalance of the skyscraper. So when Jupiter builds skyscrapers as tall and high as possible, and the retrograde time is when the checks are done to see if the foundation has been laid for the type of expansion that you want to have with your health, with your business, with your pets and animals, with your your day-to-day experience, with your systems, with your organization. So if things seem like they're going backwards, it's just because there are certain I's that have to be dotted and T's that have to be crossed, so that in February, when it moves forward, it can really, really build very quickly. And that's something that if you've ever watched a building be built, you notice they spend a lot of time in the foundation. Like, what are they doing down there? Why is it taking so long? Then all of a sudden you come back and in a day, this huge structure is built. I mean, not a skyscraper in a day, but certainly a house. Sometimes you can come back in a day or two, and after working on the foundation for weeks, a house could pop up very, very quickly. And that's what's going on. So you're not really going backwards for good. You're going backwards just temporarily so that you can blaze forward soon. The topic of home and family is active for the long term. Chiron, Aries is there. We've got a shorter term transit of Hygeia activating home and family and housing. And then in the days around January 13th, we have a 24-degree full moon in Cancer opposing our sign. Fullness, completion, fruition, drama coming to housing or home or family, for better or worse. I've seen the most fabulous family gatherings and experiences happen on a full moon. And I've seen a lot of drama or things be elucidated on full moon. Could be a little bit of both. The fact that this is opposing our Capricorn energy and, means we'll probably be pulled a little bit through home and work, our inner world, our outer world, our me versus we. We'll be seeing those sort of, pulls in different directions. The Aries Libra eclipse cycle that started in 2023 is going to be ending now in the first half of 2025, this 2-year story of redoing our me versus we, which is developing our autonomy stronger while helping us to show up for ourselves and our relationships even more, working both of those ends of the duality. So we're shuffling around energy with our me versus we again. And now that we're back in eclipse season, we'll start to see news and information come through with, in those circumstances in our lives. Now, for everybody, that's me versus we. But for Cappies, this is home versus work. That's where your Aries Libra polarity is. So trying to reshuffle, taking energy from work, putting it into home, taking energy from home, putting it into work, taking energy from your inner world, putting it into your public life, taking focus from your public life and putting it into your inner world. All of this shuffling around is basically what happens. So you'll see these storylines of this going on, changing the energy in your work, changing the energy at home. You know, things are in a shuffle right now. So for the second half of January, all of February, very, very strong in March and April, and fading into May, there are going to be a lot of changes, and there'll be a final conclusion to some of the storylines that started at the beginning of 2023. So you will see that happening. Now, the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle is activating our 3rd and 9th house sectors. This is the Sagittarius versus Gemini energy. And we already talked a lot about having this 3rd house accentuated from these other forces, you know, Venus being there, Saturn, Neptune, the Venus retrograde will be partly there. But this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that started in 2024 and will go into 2027 is really restructuring how we take in information and put it out. So many Cappies may be starting to re-educate themselves for a new vocation, or for an expansion in their current vocation, or for more opportunities in their current lines of work. And so teaching and learning international connections, different languages, different cultures may be the future of what you do with the things that you learn, the things that you teach, and the way that you are at home and with, you know, with work. If you resonate with my work, please like, subscribe, click the bell so that I go into your feed, and enable notifications. I will be posting more in the upcoming time, possibly even weekly, so you don't want to miss anything. Capricorn friends who are late degree, I suggest you additionally stay on for the Aquarius report. And the rest of you, if you know your moon and your rising, you can watch that, or you can run how to run a free birth chart. Do a search for that, and then run your birth chart, and then come back and look at the different layers of your bigger astrological picture. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube, and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Aquarius friends. Welcome to my segment specifically just for you, Aquarius moon, sun, rising, whatever Aquarius placement you're listening for. I laid the foundation in the introduction of what this month is all about and the kinds of themes we're working with. And now we can dive deeper into how this can affect you individually in your Aquarius chart. So if you are a late degree Aquarius friend, I suggest you wait on to additionally listen to my Pisces report, which will be after this. So birthdays like February 15th through the rest of the sign, and Aquarius degrees like 23 degrees through the rest of the sign will benefit from both the Aquarius and Pisces readings, because your late degree position kind of puts you in the middle of both of those charts. Okay, so let's talk about what we're seeing here, and we'll just take it piece by piece. The Sun and Pallas Athena and Mercury just having been retrograde has offered this magical time of introspection, this diving deep into the vaults of your mind, that cosmic consciousness where everything, secret and magical is hidden. And also those things have been hiding in the shadows, lurking, fears, agendas, old programs. So this energy is basically your backstage pass to the first house renewal that has already begun. Okay, so you've got a little bit of carryover here where you're working through stuff in the inner realm and then you're bringing it out into the outer realm. So in the last couple of months, November into now the beginning of January, we had this Mercury retrograde story. As of January 3rd, Mercury is finally out of the shadow period and ready to roar. But the process you're just stepping out of was this a cosmic rewind. And the story of a cosmic rewind is still being brought by Mars retrograde and activated by this very powerful opposition that is happening right at this most important line in your chart. Okay, so there is something from the past. There's someone from the past. There is this epic battle of, it feels like good and evil, but you know, it's this epic battle for your authority, for your autonomy that is activated here. And you and or other people are very angry about this. So, you know, give this extra care. Everyone, I talked a lot about how this can actually crack you into more abundance. And that is definitely true. So I'm not going to redo that discussion. I'm just going to add some other layers to this applied directly to Aquarius. This is right hooked into the Aquarius chart. So everyone in the zodiac is experiencing this from, you know, it happening in the cosmos. But for the Aquarius chart, it just, bam, links right in. So there's something happening here. You know, there's some sort of conflict within yourself, outside of yourself, and it's a really big deal. So, you know, you're looking back to the past. This aspect happened in November, beginning of November. It's happening again. It will happen at the end of April. Something is in process. You are re-empowering yourself. You're taking your power back from someone or something within you. And this is fueling this very strong reinvention cycle. Okay, so when the planets move over this line between the 12th and the first house, this is moving from the unconscious into the conscious. This is moving from idea into creation. This is moving from the ethereal into the material. And that's the process of what's happening this month. It's a very powerful month. You know, birthdays will start for those of you who are early degree friends. Happy birthday to you, and happy birthday to you all who will have your birthdays in February as well. Aquarius moon, Aquarius rising, other Aquarius placements, you will have the sun cross over and kiss your placement. And that is a time of activation, of intention. The moon starts out in Aquarius at the beginning of the month, and then it will go into new moon formation at 10 degrees on January 29th. So that's a new chance, a new beginning, a 13 moon cycle to plant seeds for your reinvention, for your vibrance, for your empowerment, for your physical health, for your physical wellness, for your place within the community, for your futuristic enhancements that can improve your life, for your unconventional answers to your age-old problems. All of these things can be wished for at this new moon time. And if it is your birthday, then make sure you use your birthday wishes, because there are very few forces more powerful in the universe than a birthday wish, because the portal is wide open and the universe is more receptive to your wishes at that time, because the sun in the sky represents what we want. And when the sun in the sky comes back to the same point that it was at when you were born, this wishing portal is open, and that's what birthday wishes are about. So, yay. So this first house gets flooded with all this energy. Ceres, the moon, you know, twice here in the month. Venus, the sun will get there. Mercury will even get there at the end of the month. And this is all about you redoing everything. If anyone who's ever spent time with an Aquarius knows that you guys do things in different ways. I'm around an Aquarius all the time, and I'm always like, wow, that's really very interesting. You know, I have my moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn, which means I'm kind of a borderline hidden, sneaky moon in Aquarius. So I see those kind of idiosyncratic ways within myself as well. But this is a time for you to just really unleash this innovative beast and, you know, just redo anything that doesn't seem to be working for you. You've got this beautiful window to do it. So we'll beam over to our 180-degree opposition here, Mars. We talked about it cracking open things in this configuration with Pluto. We can also talk about the fact that it has been moving through, first it was forward in the 7th house, now it's retrograde in the 7th house, and it will go back into Cancer, into your 6th house, then it will go direct again back into your 7th house. And so and it won't ever get very far away from your 7th house. So it's always influencing there, even when it is ducked back into the 6th, okay? So what does that mean? That means partnerships are in the hot seat. So this Mars retrograde is just firing up this review of your relationship dynamics. The passion, the power, the balance are all on the table at this time. Tensions will be brewing, and if they do, you can use this to redefine your boundaries. You can rediscover what fuels your partnerships. What are you in it for? What are they in it for? And are you in it for the same reasons? And if not, do at least those match? So you can, anything that happens in the 7th and 8th house is like a cosmic mirror. It's just reflecting back to you how you show up for others and how they show up for you. So the state of your relationships, even if you're not the one doing something wrong, can show you more about yourself. If you happen to pull someone in who doesn't show up, maybe it means that you're not showing up, but maybe you are showing up, and maybe it means that people didn't show up for you in your childhood and you're still redoing that pattern from your past. But whatever it is for your personal story, the mirror is up now, and you will get to reevaluate, your home and your family and your upbringing and your childhood psychology and your relationships and how it echoes out. Okay, so let's see what else. All right, let's talk about Jupiter. Jupiter has been in Gemini, fellow air sign, since May 2024. It will be there into June 2025. It's been in retrograde for a few months. We'll go direct next month. And it's seeking for this year to expand the skyscraper of your romance, your true love, your children, your creative babies, your hobbies, your pleasures, your bucket list. Here in retrograde, either things will be flooding to you that you've been working on, or things that you've been working on will seem like they've stalled out and gone away forever. So don't worry if it feels like they've stalled out. Jupiter's job is to build a giant skyscraper. Okay, I was born in New York City. I was raised there. And yes, I can summon the accent at will if I have to. I'm not going to do it. But what I know from having lived in a city is that when they go to build skyscrapers, they build these giant holes in the ground. You say, what the heck is going on in there? And it seems like they're working in there for a long time. What is taking them so long? What's taking them so long is they're preparing the magical space that will hold up a blessed skyscraper. And that is what Jupiter is doing now. So if you feel forsaken by Jupiter because things that were flowing beautifully from May into the fall or spring for you all down under, and then all of a sudden it halted and you're like, what? Then you're wondering what's happening. Everybody's going into the hole of the foundation here to check and make sure, is this baby ready for optimal building of the best skyscraper, strongest, happiest skyscraper possible, to enhance your creativity, to bring you all of the pleasures and joys that you have been trying to create, to bring you your romance and your true love, to bring children to you if that's what your wish is, to expand your relationship with your children that you already have, to set your creative fires, blazing. All of these things can happen when you have the strongest foundation for your happy skyscraper. Okay, so that's what's going to go on. And then as Jupiter goes direct, your skyscraper will build faster than you can imagine, and you won't even barely remember that it took so long to work on the foundation. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Okay, so Venus starts out with this group of Aquarius placements at the beginning of the month, but then it very quickly goes into Pisces. Short-term transit by nature, but because Venus is getting to be on its track for retrograde, things get a little more complex. It would usually breeze through the second house that it shares part rulership here, money, earned income, finances. Venus also rules the 7th house where Mars retrograde is going, Libra house, love, romance, money, relationships, design, sustenance, all that. So Venus will bless your 2nd house, and it could just bring in more money straight up. People could give you money they owe you. You could get raises, boosts, find money, whatever. So money comes in. Usually it's through earned income with the 2nd house, but it doesn't have to be. And then it joins a long-term story of Saturn building your finances brick by brick and Neptune seeking to dissolve them, or it seems like that. But really what it's doing is it's spiritualizing your relationship to the immaterial and the material realms. All right, so you've got a spiritualizing process, you've got a building process, you've got Venus coming in to bless, and usually Venus would blow through, but because Venus is going to go into retrograde, once it gets a little ways through Aries, it will retrograde back into Pisces. So this story of Venus through your second house is going to be longer than usual, which is going to bring more focus to your financial realms than usual. Could bring more money than usual. It could be more spending than usual, but it could get you things that you've been wanting. It can be blessing and enhancing and harmonizing your relationship with your material experience. And so all of that's going on. So the Aries Libra eclipse cycle, which has been since early 2023, will now find its culmination, its last chapter, in this March-April eclipse cycle time. The reason I'm talking about this now is because 6-ish weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, and sometimes even 8 weeks before an eclipse, we start to get the pot getting heated up and it starts bubbling with manifesting potential. Now, by the time it's March and April, it'll just be bubbling, overflowing, and steaming all over the place. But here in the second half of January, the heat's starting to go on and some little bubbles are starting to pop, pop, pop a little bit here. Okay, so the flame is up, and things involving me versus we, storylines for the last 2 years, things involving taking in information, which is third house, which is where the Aries is for you, and putting out information, both the third and ninth house. Basically, your education and teaching, expansion, enriching process is being activated. So maybe you've been in school. If not, you may find yourself in an education program that can help you either change your vocation or expand your vocation or just enrich your personal life. If this hobby sector that Jupiter is expanding can require you to learn something, you may find that you're investing some money and taking classes in the things that you love, and these investments you make now may turn out to be your income of the future. The Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that started in 2024 and will go into 2027 is highlighting this second house of money that we already see is so full with your eighth house of other people's money. So the storylines of you versus other people and your stuff versus other people's stuff and shuffling the money around and autonomy versus and independence versus merging and dependency and interdependency and all of these things are coming up very strongly, and you will start to see the whispers of these storylines resurface again. Something very important to know about this second versus eighth house polarity is it's logic versus intuition. It's, manifestation in many different ways. We've all seen people who money just comes to them through their family, through their spouse, through luck. They win stuff, and you're like, if you're over here on the Taurus end of the spectrum, you're like, hey, it must be nice to get money for doing nothing, right? I know I've been in the Taurus. I have my South Node in Taurus, so I've been just working, and I understand that end of it. And sometimes it is required for us to start to tune into what it could take to be on the opposite end of the spectrum that we're on. So maybe if you're working hard all the time, maybe this eclipse cycle will give you opportunities to just have money fall in your lap. And if you've had money fall in your lap and you've sort of had some guilt and some lack of self-confidence about that, not that you should, I'm not putting a judgment on it, but just if your subjective experience, did that for you, maybe it's time for you to start putting some power into your individual projects where you use that eighth house money from other people, that you fuel your own creations. So this is the storyline, a very common storyline that you'll see manifesting during the upcoming years that has started, at the end of 2024. So you'll feel in many ways like there's a tug of war between you and them, but really the goal is for you to balance your individuality with the enrichment and fulfillment of merging with other people and transcending above the struggle into the collaboration and the cooperation and the synergy. If you resonate with my work, please click like, subscribe, click the bell to get my stuff into your feed. Enable notifications so you don't miss anything. I'm entering a time where I may start posting weekly, and so you won't miss anything if you do those things. If you haven't run a free birth chart, you can do that, and then you can utilize my resources even more deeply by watching for your sun, your moon, your rising, whatever you'd like to do. If you are a late degree Aquarius friend, birthdays around February 15th through the rest of the sign, I suggest you stay on and listen to my Pisces report. And if you have an Aquarius degree, 23 degrees to the end of the sign, that Pisces report will also be relevant for you too. Hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people. Hello, Pisces friends. Welcome to my January 2025 reading, specifically for Pisces placements, Sun in Pisces, Moon in Pisces, Pisces rising, whatever your Pisces placement, this is for you. This is another layer on top of the foundation for that I put in the introduction. So hopefully you've listened to that first, and we can drill down into the specifics of what it will be like to be a Pisces this month, this year. So 2025 is your year to elevate and to expand and to transform. So it's not just about stepping into the light, it's about radiating the light so brightly that you create a ripple effect in every corner of your life, and it extends out beyond you and influences other people. So this is a very exciting beginning to the new year. Talk about short-term highlights of planets that are moving quickly and giving you opportunities, but they'll be more fleeting. And we'll talk about some long-term highlights. So we have the Sun and Pallas Athena and soon to be Mercury all in Capricorn. And this is your time to dream big. Okay, this spotlight is on your long-term goals. Because Mars is in retrograde and Jupiter, the bringer of expansion, is in retrograde, this might not be a time where you see massive expansion on these big goals that you have, but it certainly is a time to add strategy to them, to add clarity to them. And with Mercury finally out of the web of the retrograde, and just moving forward with all steam, ahead, full steam ahead, you'll have more clarity. That factor will be something that does make it feel like a new year in that way, even though we are kind of in a sleepy bit of a start because of the other retrogrades. But because this 11th house is the house of your big dreams, not the ones you have at night. That's the 12th house, and you have a very full that area too. But this is your big dreams, so the fact that we have this energy of retrograde, and all of this energy of the 11th house being activated, this is an invitation to reconnect with your old allies and maybe even your old enemies, to revisit this unfinished group project, or to refine your vision that you have for the future that involves a community or involves your creativity going towards something greater than yourself. The energies of Capricorn are very strategic. Pallas Athena is very strategic. This is about laying out a plan, taking manageable steps towards your bigger dreams that will seem to expand much more quickly as we get into February, because first of all, Mars will go direct in February, and even though we have a long post-shadow period, you will feel that movement of going direct. Jupiter will go direct, and Jupiter builds skyscrapers. Skyscrapers are trying to be built in your communication and expression and education sector through the sign of Gemini. These skyscrapers are trying to be built in your home and your family and your housing and your inner world. And if you've ever seen a skyscraper being built, I'm from New York City, so I've watched this happen many times. It seems like they're working down in the earth forever. Like, what the heck are they doing down there? Turns out that the taller your skyscraper, the more work you have to do to counterbalance that tall swinging and swaying, and so you need a strong foundation, basically. And when Jupiter's going retrograde, things that were expanding last fall or the spring for you all down under, and if they came to a halt and you were feel forsaken by, Jupiter, it's because it's going to work on this foundation. It was starting this process of building the skyscraper, and then they got the word, hey, we need a little foundational work done here. And then you're getting your foundation shored up so that your skyscraper can climb very quickly and beautifully and strongly very soon here. Okay. So that expansion in those areas of your life are waiting to happen, and you've got some steps to take in the inner realms. Some things you have to do actively. Sometimes some of this is an unconscious process. Sometimes things are going on behind the scenes where you don't even know about it. But it is happening, and that's explains any slowdowns if you've noticed that. Now back to this 12th house. Pluto here now for 20 years, long-term transit. The sun will get here short term. The moon is there at the beginning of the month. And then on the 29th of January, we'll have that brilliant new moon in Aquarius at 10 degrees. And Venus is in Aquarius just for the first few days. Mercury will get to be in Aquarius this month. All of this is activating your 12th house. And this means your intuition is glowing like a beacon. So you can take this time to tune into your inner world. Between the 12th house focus and the 4th house focus, this is very much about your inner world. And this is an invitation to explore your dreams, to explore those landscapes. In some cases barren, in some cases, fertile, in some cases, mysterious, just mysterious. And whatever it is, all of this energy here is an invitation to uncover these hidden layers of your psyche. So you could be receiving cosmic downloads, and you can trust what bubbles up. This is a major cleansing period. This is a healing period. This is an internal retrospective period. In general, the retrogrades are a time to wait on the shore and let the waves bring things to you. I always think of these waves as the retrograde tides coming in. You try to put something out on those tides, and it gets bounced right back to you. So it's not the best time to try to launch something far and wide. It's the best time to hang out and see what comes to you to be dealt with, and to not try to conjure. Same thing with being the spider in the web. We're still in this web time. You will feel certain things start to move forward because, Mercury is direct. But we're still very much in retrograde. So you're being the spider and you're waiting for food to come to you instead of going out and trying to make things happen. And all of this is very much matching this retrograde, internal, deeply retrospective energy. So Mars, its story in retrograde has been in September. It was going forward in Cancer, which is your 5th house, making you very focused on romance and children and creativity and fun. And then it went into your 6th house after that, focusing on, again, 5th house stuff, creativity, romance, because it moved out of the house of Leo, but it moved into the sign of Leo. So this very long-term focus on, passion and expression. And then it went in retrograde and it was moving through Leo. And again, also 6th house has to do with your health and your pets. A lot of focus could be there, your day-to-day work schedule, your daily routine. And then it will retrograde back into Cancer and, will be focused a lot on there. This is a good thing for Pisces because this creates a trine with the water sign. It wasn't as favorable and easy and smooth once it was in Leo, but now that it's going to be back here in Cancer, it will be making those trines. So you can expect more blessings with your romantic world, true love, children, creativity, your bucket list, your hobbies, etc. In general, when Mars is in retrograde, it's like the cosmos are pressing a pause on your daily grind, especially here in the 6th house, which is where it starts out the month. So the retrograde process that you have in this house of health and routine has been giving you incentive to rework your schedule and to refine your habits and to approach your work-life balance with fresh eyes. As it dips back into the 5th house, it will give you the invitation to rework how you express yourself creatively, to energize your romantic sector, to breathe life back into the relationships that you have, or, people may come from the past. You can also channel this energy into this rediscovery process. I love the word rediscover for the retrogrades because it's like you're going back to things that really worked for you, and you can be also experimenting with trying things on. Retrogrades, like I said, aren't a great time to launch something giant because the tides will throw it right back to you. But it is a good time to experiment with low stakes things that could become high reward things. Okay, so one important thing to know, we talked at length about the Pluto-Mars clash at the beginning of the month. I'm just going to bring it back up here because I just want to talk about how it's specifically hitting for Pisces. Okay, so it's on the line between your 5th and 6th house and your 12th and 11th house, which means that there are many different ways that this can manifest. This can be purely internal. This can be having to do with your health, your psychology, your consciousness. And this could have to do with other people and your creative talents and your networks. So it can explode outerly, in your outer world within, your relationships, or it can be kind of inner turbulence where you're working something out within yourself, or it could be both. And ultimately it does wind up being both. Another date to note as we're talking about this 5th house is the days around January 13th. And this is the Cancer full moon at 24 degrees. So fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama, for better or worse, hopefully for better since this is in a trine formation for you, to home and family and housing and real estate, or to anything 5th house, which we've talked about at length, the children, the romance, the creative projects. So there's fullness, there's elucidation that's coming to this storyline for you. And those of you, everyone in the zodiac can benefit from it or experience it however they're going to. All water signs have a chance to have this be, more pronounced and in a wonderful aspect, delivering amazing things. And if you're a late degree Pisces, so like birthday is around March 15th through the rest of the sign, or Pisces degrees like 23 degrees through the rest of the sign, the same people basically who I suggested that you list, or actually I didn't, but I will now. You all late degree friends, I suggest you listen to the Aries report too, because you very late degree friends will benefit for both readings. But those of you in that late degree spectrum, and we'll even kind of inch it a little bit further and say like March 11th through the rest of the sign, and the closer to like 16th, 17th, 18th, or 23, 24, 25 degrees, the more you may get a kiss from this full moon. Now, the discussion about the eclipses is very especially important since you're a Pisces and we are in the midst of a very long Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle. So at the end of kind of the second half of last year, we started a new Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle, which will be in effect until 2027. We had the second to last chapter of the Aries Libra eclipse cycle that has been doing me versus we stuff since early 2023. And will continue into the first half of 2025. So we have the Aries Libra eclipse cycle that is, redoing your relationship with yourself, redoing your relationship with others, and specifically in the Pisces chart is activating your earned income versus your shared income, your money versus other people's money, and your financial consciousness versus your financial manifestation, basically your money. And this is, a moment of personal reinvention as it relates to your finances. So you get to shed your old skin, step into your power, your financial empowerment, and embrace this new chapter, new series of chapters of self-discovery within the financial and material realms. And also the less material riches. This polarity is about riches, material and immaterial riches. The eclipses or energy is going to be most strong in March and April, but 4 to 6 weeks and sometimes even 8 weeks before the first eclipse in the series, the bubbles start to, the heat starts to get up on the pot of the eclipses. So, March and April, the bubbles will be steaming and everything bubbling all over the place. But here in January, the heat is just starting to come up, some little bubbles, some news, some activity is going to start coming in these sectors. Okay, so you'll see some similar themes that came up, and you'll see this start to manifest, and it could be in the second half of January. It's going to help you redefine your relationship with yourself and with other people, and of course, these resources. Now, the big star here with the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle is going to put this me versus we still. So you have me versus we, my stuff versus our stuff. These are the stories that are going on. And this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle, so the Aries Libra one is the one we're having the final chapter of right now coming up. The Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that's in the Aries Libra houses for Pisces. So basically you're having all of these years in a row of me versus we, because as soon as me versus we through Aries Libra eclipse cycle is finishing, you're continuing to have me versus we through the house of the 1st and 7th house, which is ruled by Aries and Libra. You might have to listen to that a few times to get it, but you're basically not getting out of reshuffling around your energy, autonomy versus synergy, interdependence versus dependency and independence, etc. And that's what this is about. You know, you're really trying to establish the places where you've been too dependent and shore up your energy. You're trying to sort out the places where you've been afraid of intimacy and missing out on shared connections and shared resources. And, you know, that is going to be activated. So when you're in an eclipse cycle, you know, that has to do with your sign, this really is a chapter of self-discovery and a whole new book of self-discovery, you know, so your identity, your confidence, your individuality, all of this is, you know, basically about owning your own magic and figuring out what that is and stepping forward with that more confidently and with more certainty. The eclipses here in your 2nd and 8th houses are also very much about, you know, your sense of self-worth as it relates to money. And you're planting the seeds for more material independence and rethinking your relationship with abundance. So, you know, these deep soulful transformations are calling your name with this 8th house involvement, and you can embrace the mystery of these shared resources in the intangible and intimacy and inner healing realms. And so, you know, this is pretty much your alchemical moment to turn challenges into gold. If you resonate with my work, please like, subscribe, click the bell so that my notifications go into your feed, enable notifications. And if you're a late degree Pisces, go back to the, you know, to the segment with Aries. If you don't know your moon and rising, etc., search for how to run a free birth chart online, then come back to this report and then watch the segments for, you know, for your moon and rising as well as your sun, because we're so much more than our sun sign, and you can use astrology to go deeper in and pick up layers of your experience that, you know, you may have been missing all this time. You have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye. I have had many people ask me if I do readings. I'm not doing readings. Currently, I've been retired from them for a while. However, I do have some new personalized reports, and you can see where all of the outer planets are going to be giving you opportunities for the upcoming many years. You can see how you can clear karma and living your dharma, your highest expression in this lifetime, through my North and South Node detailed personalized report. And you can see all of that at anniebclarity.com, and I'll put it in the cards in the top right of the screen for YouTube and in the notes underneath the podcast. Or you can just go to anniebclarity.com to see the options for those personalized reports with my viewpoint on those really important transits and placements. If you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. See my very comprehensive astrology mastery certification course, which can take you from wherever you're at, beginner or advanced astrology studies, to earning money as an astrologer. That is what I focus on, is how you can monetize your earning potential while giving an amazing reading every time where you help people.